football lives here.
This is Open All Mics from Sports Sound.
Go! Go! From BBC Radio Scotland.
You're listening to Open All Mics, Sports Sound, kicking off the league campaign this weekend. There was a great game on the channel last night. Arbroath won, Ayr United won. Arbroath, I think, thoroughly deserving of their point in that game. A late equaliser there from Todorov. One game kicking off in the top flight at 3 o'clock today. 5:30 full coverage to come from Fir Park. Motherwell up against Rangers. Of course, we're at the 4 games in the Championship as well today. We'll bounce around the grounds. I'll bring you all the goal news from right across the country, and plenty to talk about in Open All Mics. Al, I know you've got a challenge, a little quiz question for our pundits and indeed our listeners. We'll get to that in a few minutes' time. But let's just set the scene again. Let's get bouncing around the grounds. Emma Black is at the top flight game for us at Rugby Park. Looks a terrific day down there. Just overall, Emma, what are you expecting from both these clubs for this season?
I think it's going to be tight. Of course it is. We've seen obviously in the game a few weeks ago how tight it was, but Livingston have just started brightly here. The opening minute, they took kick off down the right hand side, and while Inter had a little flick, tried to get by Brannan and obviously won the free kick, and Livingston here just got a free kick down right hand side. They're just going to whip it in the box and Swigger, but Kilmarnock have dealt with it.
4 games in the Championship today. Chick Young is in McDermott Park for us. St Johnstone up against Partick Thistle. Both these sides, as we said earlier, Chick, had terrific campaigns in the League Cup. Be expecting an open, attractive game there today.
Kenny, there's a bit of fate here. I was just tipping Arlo Athletic to win League One. I've been just attacked by a wasp. There's something in the air. Good. I'm telling you, as a message. Anyway, I've got rid of that. And the game's got great atmosphere inside the ground. Get away. A big support from Thistle coming up the road, and great atmosphere, beautiful day. And we've started with Thistle going on the attack, kicking the season off. A really good crowd. I'm trying to get the attendance later on inside McDermott Park, and as I said earlier, a sense of anticipation in the air, and I'm just wanting to see how Stevie Mallon plays this afternoon. Good start to the game.
Well, it should be worth keeping an eye on the dugout area today with Billy Davis in for Dougie Emery in that home bench, and Neil Lennon, of course, on the away bench. I think a lot's expected of the Pars this season. There's been serious investment there.
Yeah, a lot expected, but it's going to be really difficult, isn't it, when you look at the competition that they're up against there with, St Johnstone and Ross County and Partick and Ayr. So, okay, yeah, you can have expectations, you can have a lot of pressure on. Neil Lennon's a very experienced manager as well, and you've got Billy Davis in the dugout as well. Plenty of games under his belt, in managing teams, so he'll be a really good addition to the Morton setup. But I think for both these sides, I think it's going to be a really testing season for them. If they're hoping to, get up there and challenging for the top 2 spots, I don't really see it.
What about then the game between Airdrie and Ross County? Billy Dodds, there's been a lot of talk, of course, about Ronan Hale. Would you expect him to be a county player come the end of the window?
Well, a lot of interest in him, supposedly, so it remains to be seen. We talked about earlier in the programme that Roy McGregor has the funds to keep him, but sometimes it's down to the player whether he wants to stay. He starts today alone up front as well. If I told you Airdrie have started pretty well in keeping the ball, you wouldn't be surprised, Kenny, because that's a style of play. So it's an open game, but both teams mirror image of one another. 4-3-3 for both teams. County making 4 changes, Airdrie making 1. So game underway, but Airdrie started pretty well.
Alan Preston's at Starts Park for us. Wraith Rovers up against Queen's Park. Do you think the home side can push for the playoffs this season now?
I think they can, Kenny, and just to touch on, we had a minute's applause here for a guy that sadly passed away, Sean Dennis, who a lot of the boys on this programme would have played against. 453 appearances for the Rovers, and really fitting moment for him here. Really sad. Lovely guy.
Yeah, Chick.
2 chances for St Johnstone to take the lead. It was a corner played in by the aforementioned Stevie Mallon. City Bay had another header at the near post. I thought I was going in. It was cleared off the line, came back to him again, and I thought he put it over into the net, but somehow there was a foot in the line and got it past for another corner kick. Two chances in the early seconds for St Johnstone. Stephen Mallon with another corner kick the right side coming up.
Back to you, Alan Preston.
Yeah, no, I think Rovers can be there or thereabouts in the playoffs. I don't think they'll win the league, but they can certainly get into that top 4 to try and get in the playoffs. And as far as Queen's, I'm really concerned about Queen's Park. I really am. I know they've had a rise in a number of years with Willie being at the helm and everything else, Callum being there and the guys before them, but I just worry now. I really do. They could be going, I'm not saying they will, but we could find them back part-time again.
Yeah, it was a real struggle for them last campaign. First goal of the 3 o'clock kickoffs. Kelty Hearts 0, Inverness, Cali Thistle 1. Billy Mackay with the opening goal there after just 4 minutes. Alan, who do you fear for in the top flight this season?
I seen Dundee against Airdrie and I was alarmed how poor they were, and I think when you look at it, they've lost a lot of starters. When you look at Silla, Mulligan, Cameron, Portales, McGee, Shaughnessy all leaving there. Tony will tell you they were all starters for him, or most of them were starters anyway. If you take all them out of your team, replace them with people, it takes time to gel. I would worry if I'm Dundee. I think they're going to have to recruit 5 or 6. So for me it would be Dundee. I'm fascinated to see how Muller will do under their new manager. So that's going to be an interesting one as well. But I think Dundee are the ones that most people will tip at the moment, but there's still time. There's still another month to go with the window closing.
Yeah, I would agree with that, Alan. I think it's very easy to surmise Dundee simply based on the League Cup form, but it's not always a telltale sign. But the eyes don't lie, and it looks like Stephen Presley's having to recruit quickly and try and get a way of playing in place, and it's not really worked thus far. And running through the names that Alan just spoke about, that is the core of a squad. Tiffany as well, didn't even get a mention in that list, and he was a huge part of Tony Dockett's Dundee. So listen, I think Dundee, they could struggle. I don't think it helps that Livingston and Falkirk have been well tipped to do well this season. It doesn't leave a lot of room for error for clubs like Dundee, so we'll wait and see how they go. Now, listen, we don't want Stephen Presley to come under pressure, but it's going to happen to somebody at some point. I don't think the way Tony left Dundee as well, I don't think it helps Stephen Presley, because it automatically puts the spotlight on him when there's such a split and it was such a surprise. I don't think that necessarily helps. Dundee board makes some strange decisions at times, but they've went with Stephen Presley. Wish him the best, but I don't think it's going to be plain sailing this season.
Kenny, I think it's going to be the bottom of the league is where the story's going to be. I really do, because in recent years Livingston were cut adrift, St Johnstone were really cut adrift last year. I don't think that's going to be the case. It's going to be nip and tuck. There's going to be a few down there. I just don't think there'll be one dropping off like there has been. Doddsy,
any thoughts on that battle at the bottom?
Very similar, very similar. I think it'd be fair to say that he wasn't unanimous when being appointed by Dundee fans. And then especially with Tony not just saying it because I didn't even know Tony was on the programme today, but not just saying it because he's on the programme, but the way he left the club, and then the new manager gets produced and then they go out the League Cup, that's going to bring a pressure within itself, and then the fans, it wasn't unanimous. So and then there is the result against Airdrie going out the League Cup. So and Alan's right to point out, this is kick-off week of the season and they're still 5 short. That can't be good.
Another goal going in. Anna Athletic 0, Elgin City 1. Dylan Gavin on 6 months. What was Tiffany like to manage? He just looks a real character. You've got a smile on your face.
That's exactly it. He's a character. He's a great boy in the dressing room, and he's quite a throwback. Yeah, actually, when I first seen him, it was playing in the playoff. Well, I'd seen a lot of him, but I went to watch him close in the playoff games against Ross County, if you remember. And I'd watched a bit in the championship, and he really reminded me of a former player, Kevin McAllister, the way he just liked to pick up the ball. He liked the socks around the ankles, and he just loved one-on-ones, and however he get by, he doesn't even know how he gets by people, but he's such an infectious little guy. He must be injured just now. He's not involved in the squad I see at Kilmarnock, but no, a really a good boy. He gets everything. One thing that people won't see, he gets everything out of his career. He's a good pro during the week. He works very hard during the week, but just a good character to have in your team, and somebody that he'll always get you up the pitch, and he'll always look for 1v1 situations. But a dressing room needs a Scott Tiffany, and I'm sure Kilmarnock are feeling the benefit of that just now.
What are your thoughts on the League Cup format now? As a manager, it comes very early in the season. There's no way at all you can use that as a pre-season, is there? It's such an important cup competition.
Oh no, you absolutely go into it. You must. You see that for two teams this year. You must go into it, you know, and it can work for you or work against you. Last year, for example, our League Cup campaign was fantastic, and it went into August where we were unbeaten in August as well. And I think we'd scored something like 33 goals in 9 games. And I'm seeing the same now with Hearts. You know, Hearts have used that League Cup and have gained real momentum through it. So it can go the other way, you know, as you see, if you're not winning games, it can affect confidence. And going into a league campaign, that's what it's all about. Normally, if you did a normal pre-season, you would pick a few games, or you would hope you would score a few goals, and strikers would be on the score sheet and it would make you confidence. That's what the League Cup is now. You know, you're playing against teams, but it's competitive matches.
I think this is a penalty kick.
Right.
I think it's a penalty at Queen's Park. It's up the far end. He goes down. One of the players goes down in the box. No complaint. It's Roddy McGregor. It goes down. And the referee has pointed to the spot up the far end for me. So this would be opportunity for Queen's Park.
And a shock scoreline early on. It's certainly a shock scoreline here. East Kilbride 0, Spartans 1. Camille Russell with the opening goal on 8 minutes. So an early chance for Queen's Park up there at Stars Park.
Michael Roos going to take this. He's right-footed up the far end, Kenny, if you know where we sit.
Yep.
Where the away end is. The referee's just clearing the box. He's going to come up. He blows his whistle now. Little run. Goal. 1-0. Queen's Park. Great start for him. Keeper goes the wrong way. Rolls into the bottom corner. Wonderful start for Queen's Park.
Yeah, from the penalty spot there, early doors. So just the goals, just to run through the early goals in Scotland this afternoon. Wraith Rovers 0, Queen's Park 1. That goal coming, as Alan telling us there, from the penalty spot. Kelty Hearts 0, Inverness Cali Thistle 1. Billy Mackay after 4 minutes. Annan Athletic 0, Elgin City 1. Dylan Gavin on 6 minutes. It's a good day so far for the away side. East Kilbride 0, Spartans 1. Camille Russell with that goal on 8 minutes. Let's then get back to
Kenny, can I just have a quick comment about that League Cup format you were talking about? I've been mumping and moaning all week about this. Why are the teams, I understand why the teams representing us in Europe are you know, don't know through the group stages. Why on earth are they seeded when we go into the knockout stage? When was the last time Celtic played an away tie in this competition? Why are they seeded? I know that these two things are not related, but why are the teams seeded? Why don't we all in? I mean, are we just trying to get the big clubs to the final as quickly as possibly can?
Is it not just a reward for their performances in the league?
They've been rewarded by not playing in the qualifying competition in terms of the sections. So that the excuse duty from that.
You're with them, Dodgy?
Yeah, on that one, absolutely. Get them in a hat once they've been rewarded by qualifying. Yes, good to point out, but
I think there has to be a seeding system.
He's on the money.
Right, you think there has to be a seeding system?
I think there has to be a seeding system because it gives extra motivation to the ones in the League Cup as well to finish in that top 3 or 4 to make sure they're seeded. So I think it's a good format. I think they should be rewarded, you know, having gone through a season. I know what it takes to the rigours throughout a season to get yourself in a European spot. So I think they should be rewarded for that, and I think the other places should be used as a motivational tool for the teams in the sections.
I don't like the set up in the League Cup, but I don't like the seeds, Tony. They've been rewarded by, you know, they don't play in the early rounds, and then when they get seeded as well, it does make it easier for them, and it does make it easier for the big clubs to get to finals, and for the smaller clubs to make it more difficult for them to even get a sniff.
But I know, Dodgy, I know what you're saying, but I also think that for Aberdeen, for instance, with Willie, they've not played a competitive match yet. Hearts are up and running for Monday night. That's an advantage for me, for Hearts.
Yeah, I would agree with that, Alan. Yeah, I would agree with that.
Right, let's get to the game at Rugby Park. Looks like glorious conditions down there in Ayrshire this afternoon. Emma Black is there for us. Kilmarnock up against Livingston. What's happening in the early stages, Emma?
Livingston are trying to play from the back, and Kilmarnock are almost setting them up and just ready to pounce. The work rate from Drakers and Daniels up top is phenomenal, and what they're trying to do is just force Livingston to play it out wide, out to Finlayson in the right back area, and then it's just Brennan just pushing up in the midfield, squeezing in just to pick up the second balls. Then now Livingston are just struggling to get a hold of the ball, but Kilmarnock have certainly came into the game. You know, they struggled the first couple of minutes to get a hold of the ball. It was all Livingston, but Kilmarnock now have got a free kick in a dangerous area, around about 40 yards out, just down the left hand side.
What a goal! Yes, Chuck.
It's Partick Thistle who have taken the lead here at McDermott Park. It's terrific play down the right hand side. Logan Chalmers with a little cute back heel. Forward overlapping player, ball played in. I'm not very sure at the moment who tucked that into the back of the net. Confirm that in a second. But Partick Thistle have scored their first goal of the season in the lead St Johnstone by 1-0.
Yeah, fantastic start to the campaign. Again, Mark Wilson was perhaps a controversial choice. Maybe that's too strong, Rory, but it was a surprising choice, I think it's fair to say. But he's often an absolute flyer.
He is. And sometimes when it's an underwhelming appointment, people aren't expecting much, and then with Brian Graham moving on, Stuart Bannigan moving on, maybe expectations weren't that high, and he's able to work under conditions where the shackles are off slightly, and it seems to have paid off because they've had an unbelievable League Cup campaign. They are, I think, a seeded team based on their results, and they're off to an absolute flyer today in the league. Just going back to the Kilmarnock Livingston game, Kilmarnock playing with two big lads as well, in Dackers and Daniels. I think Dackers stands at 6'7", so it must be a temptation to try and knock the ball up to him early, but it seems to me, as Emma says, Livingston are kind of causing their own problems at times after a bright start.
What would you say would be the characteristics, Tony, of a Stuart Kettlewell side? Is he a guy that likes to stick to a certain formation when you're up against him as an opposing manager?
He's very organised. He's done fantastic work previously with strikers and Theo Bair and others, and I know the signing of Daniels from Cork City is a really interesting one, because I think he's a player with huge potential. And I notice he's playing a front two here, and so you always know, they can be direct at times, but they'll put you under pressure.
Goal!
Yes!
Oh, what a start to this season, what a start to this football match. It's all square. Jamie Gowan has scored for St Johnstone, get themselves up the path from the re-centre after the goal. They get forward, and they say that teams are the most, it can be taken apart when they've just scored the goal. That's what happened to them. There's an investigation among the players at the back, the pointed fingers everywhere, but it's Jamie Gowan takes advantage and opens the right foot and puts it beyond Birinakis in the Thistle goal. It's St Johnstone 1, Partick Thistle 1.
Terrific game there, one apiece there at McDermott Park. Stennismuir 1, Alloa 0. Dale Carrick with opening goal there on 15 minutes. Edinburgh City 0, Stirling Albion 1. Russell McLean on 14 minutes. In a couple of minutes time, Alan's going to give us a wee quiz question. He put it to me the other night. I think it took me either 3 or 4 clues to get it.
I've got pals that are on days.
Well, I'm feeling quite good then. I was really just lucky, because I'm usually hopeless at these things. So just hold fire, Alan. We'll put our listeners up against our pundits on that one. Let's just bounce around the grounds. Goals flying in elsewhere, Willie Miller, but nothing so far at Capello.
Kenny, I'm not going to interrupt anybody for a cross, am I? Really? And that's the sum of it. That's what we've had. Listen, it's competitive. There's nothing in it. It's going from end to end very quickly. It's not a slow build-up game, probably as expected, but very little in and around the box. There's not really any guile. Another cross comes in from the right, for Dunfermline. But Dunfermline felt their own. It's not a game that is swung in either team's favour. And as I said, pretty physical, competitive, and a lot of energy going into it, but very little to speak about in terms of goal-mouth incidents.
Any better for you, Billy Dodds?
Not really. Willie did say he despises being down there. Airdrie have had a setback. The left back, Alex King's had to go off. A right back, Dylan McDonald had. It was Alec King. He had to go off, and Craig Ross is on. So I said they started well. It's been pretty comfortable for them. Been absolutely no attempts in goal so far. A lot of nice possession football, but not really getting in the final thirds and testing the goalkeeper so far in this one, Kenny.
Right, East Kilbride have equalised very quickly at home to Spartans. Keir Foster on 16 minutes. You're just having a wee look at the game that's coming at the studio, Tony Doc.
Yeah, you were just saying about Stuart Kettlewell. So he plays, these teams are quite direct. He plays with a front two, and these front two we're watching now, Daniels and Dackers, they are putting the Livingston back lot under a lot of pressure. And I look at the depth they've got a little bit there. The two strikers on the bench, and Marley Watkins and Bruce Anderson. So I think that'll continue throughout this game. Even if the strikers, like, they're putting in a power of work here, even if they come off it a little bit, they've got two strikers to go on. And I look at, you get young David Watson there. I'm a huge fan of young David. He won a young player a couple of seasons ago, and he will always make these supporting runs into the box. I've seen him a few times making runs just off big Mo Silla. So they'll always put you under pressure. They'll always make sure that they're on the front foot and trying to play in your half. And I also see, they've got Greg Kelty and Rory McKenzie on the bench here as well. So there's decent depth in that squad as well.
First chance of the game though, Kenny.
Yes, Willie.
It's gone to Dunfermline. Really good turn and strike from Connor Young. Down the right hand side, takes it to the inside right position on his left foot, tries to curl it towards the far post, but Storer, big tall goalkeeper.
Goal!
Yes.
Ross County have scored, Kenny.
Oh.
It's from a corner. It's probably the first effort and goal. It's Jay Henderson that whips in the inswinger, and Akil Wright, who gets a bullet header. Goalkeeper gets a touch on it, but ends up in the top corner. So it's Airdrie 0, Ross County 1.
Right, goals flying in, actually. Yep.
Yeah, I don't think I ever delivered you the name of the scorer for this little opening goal. It was Paddy Redding who got it in over the line, but it was honestly the build-up play and the little back heel, the cute back heel from Logan Chalmers was what made it. But it's 1 each at the moment. Remember, the equaliser coming
Kenny,
from Jamie Gullen.
I'm just sitting thinking, I've picked St Johnstone to win the championship. I've never given a moment's consideration on the phone call I'll get for John Robertson.
A long phone call.
It's one of the ones where you put the phone down and go make a cup of tea.
We'll miss him in this programme, that's for sure, wee Rob. I remember, one of the games was at St Johnstone last season. It was absolutely edge of the seat stuff. I remember he was in terrific form that day. Some goals flying in elsewhere. Stirling Albion now 2-0 up with Edinburgh City. Russell McLean on 17 minutes. Cove Rangers 0, Queen of the South 1. Curtis Guthrie on 19 minutes. Tony, having taken charge of Dundee when they just got promoted, looking at Livingston, looking at Falkirk coming up, how big is a step up? How different does your recruitment need to be when you're then preparing for a season in the top flight?
Yeah, you obviously need to up your recruitment if you can, but the biggest thing about that, getting into that campaign, and as I alluded to earlier on, you're getting in with momentum, from the previous campaign. So these teams, and in particular Falkirk, the style of play they've got at their home form, they'll be looking to take that into the early stages and use that home form to their advantage.
Right, so still goalless there. Emma Black. Is either side on the upper foot at the moment? Anyone taking a few chances? I've been looking up occasionally, but I've not seen too many clear-cut opportunities, Emma.
No, there hasn't been at all. Livingston had a snapshot on target. It was easy for the goalkeeper to pick up, but at the moment it just seems to be an even game. There's some battles going on in the middle of the pitch. Montgomery's been involved, putting a couple of crosses down the left-hand side. He's looking to come inside also at times. But no, Livingston right now have got a goal kick, and we just spoke about the two strikers. They've pressed right up to the edge of the box, forcing the goalkeeper to kick long, and then Kilmarnock are picking up the second balls. But no, it's pretty even at the moment.
And what about Starks Park? Alan Preston away side with the early advantage there.
They have, just as they've been hit with the ball. It's incredible. The ball's been belted right out. It came right into the press box here. Hit me in the back. As Wraith Rovers are trying
in
to
the back, you're not watching the game.
Charles, I went behind me, hit a chair and hit me in the back. Is that all right?
Expected you to pull that down, Biscuits.
Honestly, Tony, unbelievable. Can't do it anymore. 2 hip replacements. I'm scared of the ball now. Some say I was scared when I played. But no, Queen's Park are decent level, decent for their 1-0 advantage. Just cross coming in here, corner it is now to Wraith Rovers. They're trying to get push forward Wraith Rovers if they can, but very much so Queen's on the defending very, very well. Crosses coming into the box, but they're strong at the back at the moment, and they still lead by 1-0.
Dumbarton 1, Clyde 0. Ali Roy with the opening goal there on 20 minutes. Right, Alan, should put the listeners up against our pundits with this one. You can tweet me, listeners, at Kenny Max Sport. I can get your tweets there if anyone wants to have a wee go at this. So just start us off with the opening line of this, Alan, before you start giving a few more clues.
Right, who is it's one player, obviously, and he played against both Kevin Keegan and Cristiano Ronaldo in their careers. And they were competitive games. They weren't these friendlies, they weren't these charity matches, competitive matches. One player played against Kevin Keegan and Cristiano Ronaldo.
Right, does anyone have a wee stab with that very basic information there? There's blank looks in the studio, I can tell you that.
Yeah, it didn't go the way I was expecting when he started with Kevin Keegan, so I suppose that's the beauty of the question. But no, I'll digest that for a minute or two.
Can we get a nationality?
That'll come, and that'll certainly open it out for you. I think that's when I got it, Alan. So we'll just leave that one for a wee while. Just remind us again, Alan, one more time.
Who is it that played against Kevin Keegan and Cristiano Ronaldo in professional competitive games? Not friendlies, not charity matches, competitive matches.
Right, Peterhead 0, East Fife 1. Lewis Latona with that goal on 20 minutes. Just wanted to bring up, I think Rory, you were there, Alan may have been there, I was away, but the VAR update this week. So, you know, looking at the notes from that, the most interesting thing for me, and there's one I want to get Tony's thoughts on in a minute or two, it'll be very relevant to him, but the interesting one for me was this 8-second rule for goalkeepers. Just talk to us a bit about that, Rory, how it was presented, the reasoning for it, and your thoughts on it.
Well, the reasoning for it was time wasting. The referees felt too many keepers were catching the ball at certain stages of the game, falling on it, and then, you know, taking far too long to give the ball out. So if they feel that is the case, when the goalkeeper's got comfortable possession in his hands, if he falls to the ground unnecessarily, they'll start the count. When they
8 seconds.
8 seconds. When they get to 5 seconds, they'll visually show the goalkeeper by holding their hand up and counting down with their fingers. VAR cannot get involved in this. For example, if the referee plays on, feels it's 9 seconds, but the keeper's doing his best to get the ball out and the ball goes up the other end, there's a goal, they will not be stringent in terms of checking it on VAR. However, a big clampdown is that goalkeepers will have 8 seconds to distribute the ball, and from 5 seconds the referees will count down with their fingers. One of the questions and potential issues was if there was a VAR incident, for example, it hits off somebody's hand in the box, a defender ends up in the keeper's gloves. It's a lot for the referee to deal with, and in that particular occasion they just kind of called for patience with it, whilst I think they get aviation experts in to try and help them with their communication and things like that. So 8 seconds from the keeper holding the ball in comfortable possession and the referee making it clear with his hand from 5 seconds.
And the punishment is a corner if he goes over if it's deemed it's over, and then if he does it twice, it's a corner and a warning to the keeper, and then if he does it for a third time, it's a booking and a corner. I think it's great. Yeah, I think it's really good. Still, the rule that they have to change is the second yellow card. You've got to let VAR look at that, because sometimes it's unjust, a second yellow, and VAR don't look at it. So that's the big bugbear of mine, and has been. But I think this one is great because they actually showed a clip. It was really good presentation from Wally Collum, and they showed a clip. It was Arsenal versus Real Madrid, and the keeper held onto the ball for 29 seconds. They actually timed it, and you could see it. So now he's got 8 to distribute it and get the game back in play. I think it's really good.
One thing I took from it as well, and be interesting to get Tony's thoughts on this, because I know he was involved in a few incidents last year, is that Willie said that the bar for a second yellow card is higher than the bar for a first yellow card, which I found quite surprising.
Didn't know that,
I don't know what Tony thinks about that, but for me a yellow card's a yellow card regardless of if the player's been booked or not.
I'd agree with you. I think that's what's punishable, you know, depending on what the offence is. It's either a yellow or it's not, you know, and if it leads to a red.
Oh, what a goal! What a goal! St Johnstone are 2-1 ahead. Josh McPake, he's through the inside left channel, it just dummies it onto his right foot, and he curls it beyond the goalkeeper, put it out, because in the Thistle goal I could see it was going in all the way, perfect angle. What a game we have here. St Johnstone 2, Thistle 1.
You did say it, Tony Weechick had the game of the day. It's certainly proving to be the case so far.
It looks that way, yeah. I didn't even know it was 2-1. I couldn't hear it. I didn't hear the equaliser coming in there, but yeah, having been there the other week there, I know St Johnstone will be having a go. Partick Thistle took the lead there, but they'll certainly be having a go. And in young Josh McPake, there's been such an improvement in his performances latter stage of last season, and when I seen him the other night, obviously getting into this season as well.
Peterhead 1, East Fife 1. David Wilson with the equaliser for the home side on 23 minutes. Willie Miller, your thoughts on this?
Sorry, Kenny. Barry Robson's just got. The referees ran 50 yards to give Barry Robson yellow card. He's clearly given the assistant on this side absolute dog's abuse.
That would surprise you, Tony.
Absolutely no surprise there.
And you've got the cam Jim Duffy in the other dugout.
Willie, what are your thoughts then on this new 8-second rule for the goalkeepers?
Yeah, I think you know, the quicker you can get the game started, the better. I would suggest so. I'm all for that. And you do see that there's an awful lot of them now, you know, doing that false dive where there's no reason for it. You know, they've got it under, you know, safely in their arms, and they'll go down maybe in their knees and then fall down on top of it. And it's just wasting time. It is a time-wasting exercise. And the quicker you can get the game restarted, I think everybody would applaud that. But really, guys, You know, a yellow card's a yellow card. I'm really struggling to understand what the difference. Did they give any examples of, you know, a first yellow card and then a second yellow card that isn't, or the possibility of a second yellow card that isn't serious enough to be a yellow card?
They just said the potential ramifications for being sent off are more severe than a first yellow card, so therefore it would need to be a slightly higher bar in terms of the. And I'm not talking huge differences, but he did say that the bar was higher. And just to be clear on the goalkeeper one, if a goalkeeper dives and falls on the ball legitimately and it's, you know, he has to do it, then they won't start the count until he's on his feet, but the 8-second count will start if they feel a keeper goes to the ground unnecessarily straight away.
Okay, but what happens if he takes his time getting up when it is a genuine dive?
Well, it's the referee's discretion.
Yes,
he can start the count when he feels necessary, and then obviously at 5 seconds he'll hold his hand up. So
well, hopefully you'll see at the game you're at that the referee holds his hand up when it goes to the keeper, because it's been really visible. I think the referees have taken it on board, and I think all the players have as well. I was at the game at Easter Road on Thursday night, and the referee was brilliant on it.
Couple of early guesses for Alan's quiz question. Rustler has gone for Matt Letizia. That is not the correct answer. Stuart McLagan also on Twitter has gone for Buffon. That is not the answer there. Was that a wee half chance down there at Rugby Park, Emma?
Yeah, it certainly was. It was a long ball down the left-hand side just for Montgomery. Just nipped in behind the full-back, put in an excellent cross, but he was offside just marginally. But he seems to be the outlet at the moment for Livingston. You know, he's getting in good spaces, good areas down that left-hand side.
Right, here's one. It'd be great to get Tony's thoughts on this. And again, Rory, I'm going to come to you because I know you were at the VAR meeting. I was away. So the handball law, there's been a slight tweak there. So they stand by, Tony, I'm looking at your face here, they stand by the decision to award the penalty for Ross County against your Dundee side. Under the criteria, I can see your face, under the criteria last season, they say that was the correct decision. It was condemned on this programme, but just think every pundit that was on that set their eyes on that. We've got our first correct answer. Kevin Smith, well done. I won't say who it is. You first with the correct answer on Alan's quiz question. We'll get back to that in a minute. But there has been a tweak to that. Can you tell us what the tweak has been, Rory, to that?
Well, the tweak, the way Willie, and it was a fantastic presentation, he explained things extremely well, and the laws have changed for the better, and I think that's the same with handball. But in terms of the actual changes, they are slight, and basically there was one last season where the ball gets headed back the way by a striker, and the defenders, as he falls back, gets his hand in the air and it directly hits him on the hand. So basically I think the referees are getting a little bit more leverage to use their common sense, rather than just saying that's hit his hand, that is a penalty. So but the problem lies in, I think, UEFA and in mainland Europe, they would basically, if the ball hits your hand in the box there, it's a penalty. Whereas here we're trying to come away from that and examine things a little bit more common sense. Right, is that a penalty? Is it not a penalty? Because 2 seasons ago we were given a penalty for everything. Last year it got a little bit better, so I think they're just trying to introduce a little bit more leeway in terms of, you know, I don't think it's an actual change to the law though, Kenny. I think it's just
interpretation.
What Willie said was that the clubs basically said they don't want to see a penalty given, and it was unanimous for certain decisions, so they've introduced a little bit more of leeway for referees to say no, that was natural, that shouldn't be a penalty, etc, etc.
Kenny, what they were basically saying was that wouldn't even have got a mention in Europe. That would have been a penalty all day long. But here it was back pages in major news, so they don't want that here. So they have the licence to govern it slightly different and come away from UEFA roughly, not stringently, but if that happens again, they don't think it should be a penalty this season.
Dodds, are you working on that?
Yeah, did they give an update on the goal line technology? I know they were speaking about it, Rory, especially after last season, in the last game of the season against Hibs with Rangers with Nico Raskan.
The feedback for that was, in terms of the goal line technology, it simply wouldn't be used enough, Billy. Somebody had brought up the Maeda incident as well. It wouldn't be used there because it's not on the goal line, it's at the side of the pitch. So there's a couple instances where the ball, is it in, is it out, and then it's crossed. So the actual, for the cost it would be to implement it and the amount of times it would be used, it's just simply not value for money for Scottish football, was the kind of feedback.
East Kilbride 1, Spartans 2. Spartans back in front. Mark Stowe with the goal on 29 minutes. A few more guesses coming in. JC Boy says Alan Shearer. That's not correct. Mark Davis has gone for Teddy Sheringham. That's not correct. Only correct answer so far. Well done to Kevin Smith. We'll get another couple of clues from Alan in just a minute's time. Tony, what explanation? It was a midweek game, wasn't it? It was a night-time game. What explanation did you get that night? Were you happy at all in any way with it?
Absolutely not. And just the scenario that you illustrated there, Rory, that was exactly what happened to that game. If you remember, the defender Patalis and Astley are going back and the ball's propelled forward. The defender's arms up because he's had a nudge and it just touches his fingers. Doesn't he change the way the ball's going? So you tell me now that if they're saying that was upheld, that decision, now that would be down to the referee's discretion.
Well, what I would say is the referee's now got more licence to make a decision on the handball.
I thought that was the case that night, and if you remember the ramifications, obviously for myself and Dundee, but that actual decision relegated St Johnstone, and that's a situation where a referee is presented with that situation. In my opinion, and that was my point, you should take a breath, and think about, what was that. I mean, and if they're saying they've now got a licence to do that, then great. I would like to give the referees, and listen, I applaud Willie for even the thing people talk about for him getting in the aviation. Anything he can do to improve. I'm an advocate of VAR, but it has to be done properly. So anything he can do to improve that, absolutely do it.
He spoke really well along with Martin Atkinson, the two of them.
And great to see. If they get anything to make our game better, I'm all for. And if they need to do that, and they even need to look at other sports, fantastic if they can do that. But in that instance there, that was down to, for me, a referee, and it's like VAR, it's very kind of somebody's sitting sanitised in the
VAR HQ.
The VAR HQ, and they can't smell the game, they can't feel the game. They're not, and that's a huge part of it. Not just the visual, it's actually feeling it. And I felt in that instance there, the referee in question should have felt, that situation there, that there wasn't a player on the pitch claiming for that. So if they've now got the licence to do that, then great, and I look forward to watching instances when they do that.
He did speak about as well, interesting, Sony's saying just take a breath. He did say they need to get the balance right though, because there's a lot of feedback that they act too quickly, but the feedback was if they spend too long on the decision, people surmise that they're being influenced by VAR and people are talking to them, etc. So he did say that he does expect his referees to take a breath, but at the same time not wait too long.
Yes!
Oh, yes! Get your money on St Johnstone for this championship. They are on fire. Some of the football here is terrific. They now lead Partick Thistle by 3-1. Great work. I think Jamie Gullen get the final touch in that one to push it over the line. 2 or 3 players into it. But the football that Saints are playing is just terrific. Standing ovation around McDermott Park from the support. St Johnstone, they will go marching on. I'm telling you, in day one, it is Partick Thistle trailing Saints by 3-1.
Goal, yes.
Oh, no, offside. It was Kilmarnock.
Nice
it
finish.
Was Bakers. It was a
fantastic
it was a lovely
pass
finish.
to Liam Polworth, and that's what Paulie's got in his locker. He's a brilliant technician, and the strikers just went a bit too early.
Right, Emma, our guys in here, Emma, we've got the pictures in the studio here, so Rory and Tony will have a wee look at that. We'll get a replay and see.
Wasn't a great angle. It was. My initial instinct was he was just offside, but sometimes there's players not in the picture, you don't see.
Kenny, just touching on St Johnstone, you can see what the League Cup's done for them. They've sold more season tickets this year than they have last year in the Premiership.
Yeah, and listen, we had the fan on, Alan. He was on a couple of times and he said, look, he don't want to see horrible football there. He'd rather taking down to the Championship and seeing decent football being played. And certainly according to Czech, it's been fantastic there this afternoon. This looks very, very tight to me, guys. No,
I think it's offside personally. I think he looks like as Tony touched on, he's went a little bit too early. It was interesting how it happened, to be fair, giving away possession. Tony did highlight that with the experience of McGowan and Wilson may come a slight lack of pace and they get caught out there with the ball in behind.
I don't think the striker needs to go too early, but I don't think it's McGowan. I think there's a chance maybe Wilson plays him offside. It really is tight.
It's very tight. Some finish, wasn't it?
A great angle to see that. I think if you're the linesman, obviously they're going to draw lines on it, but for me, and it's maybe just an understanding, Liam Polworth, that's his quality. He can slide those passes in every day of the week, and I think the striker just hold his run a wee bit knowing that it's going to come.
Yeah, we're still waiting. It's very, very tight.
How did that feel, Tony, on the touchline with the VAR stuff in such an important moment when it's
Really
taken forever?
Really frustrating, you know, because you're...
Do you have an idea, though, with monitors and things when you're on the bench of what's going on, or none?
Yeah, automatically go back to the bench and you look at you look at your analyst and see their picture of it, and they're giving you an indication. And it's just that period now. You've got that minute where it's such an important goal, that in both teams' season. You know, first Premiership goal. So you're really, it's your Stuart Kettlewell, your bated breath there, but.
It's quite a long wait, isn't it?
It is a long wait, yeah. And this is the one, for me, they draw lines. This is the one that's, shouldn't take too long.
Goal!
Yeah,
He's given the goal!
I thought Wilson was just that little bit behind McGowan, and he's back foot played him onside. Good finish by the striker.
Really good finish.
Very good finish there. Open the goal of the top flight season there down at Rugby Park. What a start for Stuart Kettlewell. Very, very good, of course, in the League Cup as well. So, are they deserving of that, on the balance of play so far?
Yeah, you could say so towards obviously the end of this first half, but it seems to be Kilmarnock are setting up Livingston just to pounce on them, forcing them into errors, and it was Montgomery that gave the ball away in the middle of the park, but it was fantastic pressure from Pulworth just to nick that ball, but his through ball, the rate of pass, the direction, and we said Dacres just narrowly onside.
It was Daniels, Emma. Daniels that finished it.
That's a wee deflection.
That's a deflection, yeah. It's come off a defender.
It's a deflection,
wee deflection, yeah. Anyway, the goal stands.
Great finish.
Right, Alan, just remind us of your quiz question. We'll try and get this done before half time. Remind us again of your quiz question. I'll go through some of the listeners' answers, then we'll see who's quickest in the buzzers with the pundits.
The player played against Kevin Keegan and Cristiano Ronaldo in professional games, and I'll give them a clue. Played against Keegan for Leeds United, and he played against Ronaldo for Wolves, but he made his name with a much bigger club.
Right, Rustler has gone for Matt Letizia. That's not correct. Stuart McLagan, Buffon, not correct. Kevin Smith, well done. You were first with the correct answer. Mark Davies went for Teddy Sheringham. That's not true. JC Boy said Alan Shearer, no. John Mack, well done. You're also in with the correct answer. Karen Walker has gone for Jurgen Klinsmann. That is not the correct answer.
Another goal for Kilmarnock.
Keeper?
Yeah.
My initial thought was the keeper. Yeah.
The keeper's got to do better. I think initially Kilmarnock were shouting for a penalty with the fans' reaction, but I think the keeper's got to do much better. He's just palmed it right out in front, and I'm sure it was at Watson that's just follows it up.
Yeah, it's trademark Davy Watson, that running into the box, and that's when he's at his best, when it's in wide areas. He will really make that run. I think he just runs off the back of it. Mo Silla is, I'm just looking at there, and he gets into an area there, and he just the two strikers in the box, and he follows things up, and that's what he does best. And credit to him, because he puts a power of work into a game, making those forward runs, and credit to him. If he puts himself in the positions, he'll give himself every opportunity to score, and that's what he's done.
Jerome Pryor will be majorly disappointed with that. He scoops it right into the danger zone, and to add insult to injury, it's former Livingston captain Jamie Brandon who gallops down the right hand side and cuts it back, and as I said, Pryor's got to do better there.
What's the potential of Davy Watson? I really like watching him. He seems to have a really great attitude.
He's a brilliant boy, great boy to work with. Attitude's fantastic, fitness is unbelievable, the engine he's got to get up and down. And the thing about, as a midfielder, and midfielders I've worked with previously, for example, I'm not comparing them to a Lewis Ferguson type, but they can chip in with goals, and they can chip in with important goals, and that's what Davy does. He's just done it there. He gets into good areas, and he can finish as well. So I think he's got a huge future, I really do, and I think this will be a big season for him. He started it well, and hopefully there he is there. He's back in his own 18-yard box, making clearances for Kilmarnock. So he's one that would get a Players' Player of the Year every year.
Peterhead 2 East 5-1. Kieran Shanks in the penalty spot there for the home side. So Kilmarnock on top against Livingston. Just finally back to our little quiz. Mark Davis has got the correct answer, his second guess. Russell in with his second guess now. Yeah, they're all getting it. Graham Nielsen's got it correct. David Forbes, no, he went for David Seaman. Right, any pundit, come on guys, one of you, surely.
He's Republic of Ireland international.
Robbie Keane.
Kevin Kilban.
No.
No. Guys would have played against him. Willie would have played against him.
That doesn't help me. Played against quite a lot of players.
Right, one more clue, Alan. One more clue. Position.
Left back, but was right-footed.
Dennis Irwin.
Yeah,
there you
go. And the producer shouted through just before the pundits. Well done to the producer with that one. So thanks, Alan, for that little quiz question. Just seen a replay. Davy Martindale, what's his reaction like on the bench there, Rory?
Well, I think he'll be straight to the goalkeeping coach. because I mean, Jamie Brandon actually should have done better with the pick out. He should have taken his time, but you know, he gets lucky to a degree. But Jerome Pryor, he dives out, it's just a cutback, he dives out and actually does David Watson a favour and puts it right in his path, and it's a simple finish.
I think Montgomery again is culpable. I think a wee bit there he can do better. On you go, check.
Yeah, sorry Tony, I'm just going to say a bit of trouble in the dugout here as well. Alec Ray has just been booked. There was a foul given for Thistle actually.
Anybody shocked?
Maybe, but they called. No, nobody's not the slightest way, shape or form. But I mean, I have to say that Thistle found St Johnstone in terrific form here. It was actually McPake got the third goal, his second of the afternoon. Remember, Cullen scored after 3 goals in the bounce for Saints after Paddy Redding put Thistle ahead early on in the game. But they really are playing terrific football, and there's a lot of anguish away to my left with a big support up from Glasgow to back Thistle, and as I said, with Alec and Mark in the Thistle dugout down there.
Right, let's continue we bounce around the grounds. What's happening down at Capello, Willie Miller?
Listen, it's turned into a reasonable game. Ken, it's been, probably 3 efforts in goal from either side. Young with the curler for the visitors. Josh Cooper should have done much better when he was through. And Andy Todd had a really good effort that was well saved low to the keeper's left. For the home side, then Michael O'Halloran had a strike from the right-hand side. Unfortunately for him, it just went past the far post. Kerr Robertson had a shot, very good save as well, and Taylor had a header that just skimmed the far post as it came in from the left hand side. So the early stages it was quite physical. It's opened up a bit. There has been chances created. There's plenty of effort going on out there. A little bit more composure in front of goals which required, so it's still goalless.
Spartans 3 up now away at East Kilbride. Mark Stowe with that goal.
Who tipped Spartans? Who was that tipped Spartans? Because that's
myself.
Dodsey. Alright, well done to Dodsey. Cally Thistle 2-0 away at Kelty Hearts.
They've not won the league yet, Kerry.
35 and a half games to go.
That's still a decent start. I was only in.
Take the praise when it's there.
I was only asking who said it,
Yep. Half time at McDermott Park. It's 3-1 to St John's against Thistle. Magnificent performance. Half time, as I say, Saints 3, Thistle 1.
Half time at Capello as well. It's goalless.
Thanks. I was really impressed by Sima Valakari last season. I liked the way he spoke about the game, very positive. And listen, the side were a great watch, and clearly today he seems to have recruited well.
He's got a style of play. He knows the way his team wants to play, and sometimes that's just making sure
off the post
to do that.
Yes, Lewis Vaughan, great ball in from the right hand side from McMillan, and it's Lewis Vaughan rising, small boy in the middle of 2 big centre halves. Great header just off the post.
Right, Dumbarton 2, Clyde 1, Marley Redfern with 1 back for the away side. Hamilton Accies 1, Montrose 0, Ollie Shaw right in the stroke of half time. Alloa have equalised away at Stenhouse Muir. Stephen Buchanan on 43 minutes, and it's Peterhead 3, East Fife 1. Jason Brown with the latest goal there.
Half time at Kirkcaldy, in the first booing of the afternoon, where it was 1-0
My
Queen's
goodness,
Park.
who'd be a football manager? I mean, it's a strange one though, isn't it? Because he really got a tune out of them towards when he came in, didn't he? Remember, they got a great result. It was a Sunday game at Falkirk. They got a great result there. But that, of course, going over by East Kilbride in the League Cup. Where do you see Wraith Rovers playoffs? Would that be a realistic?
I mean, I only seen them in 1 game under Barry Robson, and it wasn't a fair game to measure. They lost 3-0 down at Ayr and were really quite poor. But I mean, Barry was in the job days. It was nothing he could have done about that, really, given the lack of time he had with them on the training pitch. I think they'll be aiming for playoffs, Kenny. I think that's a realistic ambition for Wraith Rovers. Listen, if it gets to January, February time and you're sitting up the right end of the league and you're close, then you can re-establish your ambitions. But I think 4th place.
Half time here at Rugby Park.
4th place
Kilmarnock
is realistic.
Yeah, fantastic start for Kilmarnock. 4-1, Stranraer 0. Stuart Morrison on 37 minutes. You still playing, Billy?
Yeah, still up. There you go, Kenny.
Yeah.
Just half-time whistle goes just now. It's Airdrie 0, Ross County 1.
Right, what we'll do is we'll go around the grounds, get a bit more detail for you. I'll give you all the scores from across the country, and of course we're on the telly today, BBC One Scotland, from 4:25 until 5:25. The action continues on the radio. The second Premiership game of the day should be an absolute cracker. Motherwell against Rangers. That one kicks off at 5:30.
This is Open All Mics.
Goal! Brilliant! On BBC Radio Scotland.
You're listening to Sports Sound on BBC Radio Scotland, the opening weekend of the Scottish League season, and already plenty of goals to talk about, plenty of drama. Of course, the action kicked off on the channel last night. Arbroath won, Ayr United won, that last gasp equaliser, thoroughly deserved, you'd have to say, for Arbroath at home to Scott Brown's Ayr United. He conceded after the game that they certainly deserved that. They were the better team, Arbroath, last night. So we'll get to the one top flight game for you in just a minute's time, but let's take a bounce around the Championship games, other 4 games all covered on Open All Mics this afternoon. Let's then start with the game between Airdrie and Ross County and get the half-time report from Billy Dodds.
Yeah, it's a pretty low-key affair here, Kenny, for the start of the season, but there has been a goal, and it came in the first attack of the game, 20th minute, when centre-back Henderson, they had a corner kick, from Jay Henderson. It was an in-swinger, and Akil Wright met at the front post and bulleted it into the top corner. Goalkeeper got a touch but couldn't keep it out. A few minutes later, Hale then tested the goalkeeper again, Melrose, from about 20 yards, but straight at him. And right after that, Airdrie had their first shot of the game when Wilson, the centre-half, shot from long range. It was just close, but just fizzed over the top of the crossbar. 10 minutes from half time, Hale again had a pop, picked up on the left hand side, cut in and smashed a right foot shot straight at Melrose. And just before the break, again Airdrie had the chance to level. Ewan Henderson was freed up in the box. It was our best chance, but he curled his shot from an angle in at the near post into the side net, and it was a real miss for Airdrie, that. So half time at the Albert Bartlett Stadium. It's Airdrie 0, Ross County 1.
Thank you to Billy Dodds. Let's then get to the game at McDermott Park. What a game this one has been. St Johnstone against Partick Thistle. There for us, Chick Young.
Yeah, and what a performance by the home side. St Johnstone lead Partick Thistle by 3-1 in the Perthshire sunshine this afternoon. Big crowd inside the ground, and what a performance they have witnessed in the first 45 minutes. Thistle actually went ahead, Paddy Redding giving the Glasgow side the lead after just 15 minutes, but within 2 minutes Saints were level. Jamie Gullen, the goal scorer, and that turned things right around. Josh McPake made it 2-1. What a goal this was. I had a great view in it. Cut inside onto his right foot and curled it through the inside left position beyond the goalkeeper, Burinaukis, in the Thistle goal. And then McPake again with a close effort straight in the goal line. Actually, it was both him and Jamie Gullen seemed to be near the ball. McPake, I think, got the final touch, just prodded it over the line, and so St Johnstone are 3-1 ahead. Partick Thistle are torn apart. They started well, did the Jags. They played some sweet football, got that goal and got forward, but there's been a total turnaround in the wake of that from St Johnstone, who look like a team determined to get themselves back in to the Premiership in one season. Magnificent first half from them, Kenny, and they lead Partick Thistle by 3-1 at half time.
Thanks to Chick Young. Next stop, Capello Morton at home to Dunfermline. Let's hear from Willie Miller.
Yeah, Kenny's goal this year at half time. The first 20 minutes, nothing to report whatsoever, no attempts in goal at all, but it did liven up after that first opportunity coming from Connor Young. A really good controlled left foot strike from the right hand side of the penalty box. It looked as though it could perhaps curl in to the far post, but the Storer had a really good save, managing to just tip it round that far post. At the other end, Michael O'Halloran had a good effort down the right hand side. He was very fortunate to see it just go by, flash past the far post. Kerr Robertson had a shot saved as well, and then Taylor had a header, a corner from the left hand side. He met it at the near post. He tried to guide it into the far corner, and agonisingly for him it just slipped past. The visitors had another opportunity when Josh Cooper was put through. Should have done much better. It was a really weak effort with just the goalkeeper to to beat, and then Andy Todd had a speculative one just outside the box, gets it onto his right foot, drills it low to the keeper's left hand side, but a very good save then ensued. So that's why at half time, Kenny, here at Capello, unfortunately, it is goalless.
Thank you to Willie Miller. Next stop, Starks Park. Raith Rovers at home to Queen's Park. There for us, Alan Preston.
Well, the last game of the season, Kenny, it was Raith Rovers who won 5-1 against Queen's Park. First game of the season is different. Queen's Park lead at half-time by 1-0. And that one goal coming in the 9th minute. Roddy McGregor was pulled down in the box and up stepped Michael Ruth to score from the spot. Rovers struggled a little bit, but eventually come into the game with Lewis Vaughan with a hit in 32 minutes just over the top of the crossbar. And then a lovely move by Queens, almost made it 2-0, but Fowler made his effort was well saved by the keeper. But Rovers back up the park with a minute to go before half-time. McMillan with the cross, Vaughan with the header. The ball crashed off the post. Half-time score here, Raith Rovers 0, Queen's Park 1.
Thank you to Alan Preston. So that's you up to date with all the scores in the Championship this afternoon. Airdrie 0, Ross County 1, Morton 0, Dunfermline 0, Raith Rovers 0, Queen's Park 1, St Johnstone 3, Partick Thistle 1 into League 1. Half-time scores: Cove Rangers 0, Queen of the South 1, Hamilton Accies 1, Montrose 0, Kelty Hearts 0, Inverness Cally Thistle 2, Peterhead 3, East Fife 1, Stenhousemuir 1, Alloa Athletic 1, and in League 2 this afternoon, Annan Athletic 0, Elgin City 1, Dumbarton 2, Clyde 1, East Kilbride 1, Spartans 3, Edinburgh City 0, Stirling Albion 2, Forfar Athletic 1, Sunrar 0. One game kicked off at 3 o'clock in the top flight this afternoon. Kilmarnock at home to Livingston. Let's get the half-time report from Emma Black.
Yeah, Kilmarnock lead here at 2-0, but Livingston started the game brightly. You know, they were looking to keep possession of the ball, just trying to work the spaces. Kilmarnock sat in, however it didn't take Kilmarnock long to start pressing high, forcing Livingston into mistakes, and that all came from Brandon down the right hand side. He was putting pressure on Montgomery, picking up second balls, and then early on the goal kick, Livingston, their players trying to play it out short, and you've got Dakers and Daniels just on the edge of the box, ready to pounce and force the Livingstoners into mistakes. And it was the likes of, they were just trying to play that diagonal ball out to Finlayson.
Right, apologies, we've got a wee issue with the line there, and we'll try and get back to just a slight technical fault there. We've got the game coming into the studio. Tony Docherty and Rory Loy in here alongside me. Rory, bit of a struggle so far for Livingston. Kilmarnock looking half decent so far.
Yeah, they've looked fine after the first kind of 10-15 minutes, but you know, Tony spoke about the decision and how big a goal that would be, and that's what he means. Since then, Kilmarnock have really put the knife in, and they've scored a second goal, whereas if it gets ruled out, the momentum of the game swings the other way again. But look, I don't know if they're good value for 2-0, 1-0 maybe. I think Livingston have had moments in the game. They've just not quite got, you can see it was onside there with the lines drawn. We can see that on the television. It is extremely tight. They've had moments in the game, Livingston, but overall Kilmarnock have they've nicked the ball off them at times, and Livingston have tried to play a particular way. It's not worked, and they've been punished. Montgomery gets caught out massively for the second goal, and the keeper does not paint himself in glory. So as I said, Livingston have participated in the game. 2-0 is a comfortable lead now for Kilmarnock.
So you're Davy Martindale, what are you doing now?
Well, listen, the way the games went, there was an opportunity there for Kilmarnock just at the death, going from, as Rory says, going from that decision going in their favour. They've got momentum, and they almost went in 3-0 up at the break. So I think knowing Davy, he'll be looking at everything he can do to get his team back in the side. For me, I think he would probably look at switching the wide players. You know, I think for me, Graham Carey's much more effective coming in off that right side, and when advancing full-back in Finlayson, I think they would get forward. Same on the other side of the pitch, I think Winter would prefer to come in on his right side, and Montgomery as an attacking full-back. So I think they would get more attacking intent in the game if they to do that. But listen, 2-0, as everybody knows, it's quite a precarious score, so the next goal is really, really important. Kilmarnock, as I say, could have went in at 3-0 at the break here. 2-0, Davy, I'm sure the way he is, he'll make sure his troops are ready to come out in that second half, and whoever gets the next goal, I think that'll be pivotal.
What about then the approach from Stuart Kettlewell, Rory? You've got a fairly comfortable advantage, though, as Tony said. You know, if Killy concede the next goal, it's very much game on. Do you change tactically? Do you change shape in any way? Do you tighten things up a wee bit, or is it the same approach that's worked for you so far in the first half?
Yeah, I think there's a danger of overthinking if you get to that stage, trying to second guess the opposition. They've proven in the first half to this point in time they're better than them. They're 2-0 up, so why would you overcomplicate things and decide to try and change things around? Last 10 minutes maybe, but you know, I'm not saying they've been overly direct, but they haven't been shy in getting the ball up to the two strikers, Dackers and Daniels. And then, as Tony's touched on, Watson's box to box, he can get up and support, but he can also go back the way. Then you've got Brandon down the right hand side, who's been very good as well. So when the ball goes up, it's got to stick. It has done. There's two big lads up there. They've shown signs of linking up pretty well. They look quite similar in stature, which is fine, and the way they play again, which is fine, as long as they dovetail each other okay. But to answer your question, I don't think for me, there wouldn't be any reason whatsoever for Stuart Kettlewell to try and second guess what Davy Martindale's going to do next. Just stick to what you're doing.
Davy Martindale's probably a very different character to yourself, Tony. You know, we're seeing his reaction there in the dugout when that second goal went, very much keeper error. As a manager, how do you handle that at half time? Is it one for the goalie coach to work with him? Do you leave him be? How would you deal with that?
I think it's one probably the goalie coach deals with initially, but I think there was things leading up to the goals there, and looking at that first half performance, the players that have made the biggest impression in the game are Kilmarnock players. And the first thing Davy, because he's a well respected coach, he's very good in the game, so the first thing he'll look at is he'll try and nullify the two strikers are a handful up there. The style of play that Kilmarnock are playing, they're playing very direct and they're gambling on second balls, and that's where Davy Watson has been instrumental. He's been very influential in the game, as has Jamie Brandon. So I think the first thing you would do is try and negate the strengths that they've got in the Kilmarnock team and try and exploit their weaknesses. And at the moment, as Rory said there, they've had a few half chances from areas they can get in. So I think you would look at that and try and, as I say, negate the weaknesses, negate the strengths and exploit their weaknesses. And I think you'll endeavour to do that, particularly down this left-hand side of the pitch. And listen, his goalkeeper has made a mistake there, but there's other mistakes that led up to it. But I think the important thing is you can't do anything about that now, but what you can affect is the second half. So if he makes changes or he makes tactical changes to try and stop Kilmarnock and excel more in the game, then they'll give themselves every chance, because as Rory said, before that decision for Kilmarnock to go 1-0 up, there was absolutely nothing in the game, but yet they could be getting in 3-0 down.
Alan, the debate over artificial surfaces rumbles on. It's always a hot topic. We discussed it in the studio during one of the summer sports sounds. We're watching the pictures coming in here. I know you were saying that you have been on the new surface at Livingston. We've not seen that one, of course, in the league yet. They're away from home today. But where do you stand with the up-to-date, the modern artificial pitches, Alan? Do they have a place in our top flight?
I still don't like them, no, but I've got to say the Livingston one is the best one I've seen. I was there last week, I was on it, and you can see the ball moving on it. It was excellent. It is certainly the best. It's even better than Falkirk's, and I know people think highly of Falkirk's. Livingston's is brilliant, but I still don't like it. I still want it out the league if I can. I've never been in favour of it. And I know a lot of Livingston people say, oh, you're just having a go at the club. No, I'm not. I just don't like them. I never have. I don't think there's a place for them in our top flight. It just looks a bad look. But I have to say, if, and it is a massive if, they're going to keep it, that Livingston one is as good as you're going to get.
Is it a big advantage, Rory, do you think, to the home side?
I think it is. I think if you're used to training on it every single day, and I mean, when the Falkirk one was laid the first time around, it was magnificent, really, really good. But there was a slight, the ball, when it rolled, it kind of went side to side at times. It didn't roll straight.
The Livy one, once the Livy one has about 50 to 60 hours of play on it. I watched it. It was soaking wet last week. They soaked it, and it actually, you know how normally they dry up really quickly. This one retains water. It's brilliant.
Right.
And I watched the ball, and it doesn't deviate at all.
Yeah, doesn't deviate. No, listen, the overall point I was making is the little nooks and crannies that come with playing on the AstroTurf pitch. If you're doing it every day, then listen, it might be a small advantage, but it is a slight advantage. But I don't agree with managers bringing it up every single time a game comes round in AstroTurf. That's one thing I would say.
Does it affect? Yeah.
On you go. I've just got a point that I've been sent just now from someone, and it's quite a valid point actually. Why does the Scottish Cup winner gazump third? Why does it not gazump second?
Don't know the answer to that one, Alan.
Exactly. I don't know either. That's what I've been asked, but I don't know the answer.
Just like
You
Dennis
probably have to vote for it.
All I can think of is that they see second as a more of an achievement, and there's got to be a cut-off point somewhere. But it is a good question.
Yeah, listen, we can try and get an answer on that one.
Would it not, Kenny? Would it not have to be voted upon?
You would think so. You would think so, Willie. I mean, I don't know if that's another one of these 11 ones.
11 ones.
Yeah, I'm not sure what the structure is, and I know there's different voting.
And if it was,
systems.
then you understand why.
Of course, absolutely. Yeah, you just answered that one, Willie. Yes, very directly. Right, you're listening to Sports Sound on BBC Radio Scotland. Open all mics to come. Second half from all the games around the country this afternoon.
This is Open All Mics.
Goal! Oh, brilliant! On BBC Radio Scotland.
You're listening to Open All Mics on BBC Radio Scotland. One game in the top flight kicked off at 3 o'clock this afternoon. That game is at Rugby Park. Kilmarnock at home to Livingston. Emma Black is there for us with a few problems with your line there at half time, Emma, but just bring us up to date with what's happening down there.
Yeah, there's been no changes at half time. Livingston were looking to play that diagonal ball. It was given, but I think for Kilmarnock they don't have to do anything different in this second half. Whereas Livingston, they just obviously have to, as the guy stays in the studio, they just have to put the first half behind them, don't dwell on it, and try and obviously get something from the second half and get a positive response from the players.
Yeah, very good start there for Stuart Kettlewell on the back of a good League Cup campaign. And we said at the top of the programme, a lot of fans didn't want him, they didn't think he was the right choice. But so far, it's proving to be a correct decision from the Killie board. 4 games in the Championship this afternoon after the opener last night at Gayfield. Arbroath 1, Ayr United 1. Let's then take a wee bounce around the grounds. We will start with what has been an absolute belter at McDermott Park. St Johnstone against Park Thistle. Chick, you've been very impressed with the home side.
Absolutely, continue to be so. We're into the second half, well into the second half. St Johnstone on the attack again. They've got players over here. Little ball in the corner, it is 4. What a goal! Wow. That is fantastic performance by Saints. Early in the second half, it's Josh McPake again. Onto the right foot, just curls it beyond the goalkeeper. They are tearing Partick Thistle apart. What a joyous start to the season for St Johnstone. They lead Partick Thistle by 4 goals to 1.
Absolutely fantastic from Seema Valakari's side there against Partick Thistle, who themselves had a very, very good League Cup campaign.
Remember the fan that phoned in from St George's and said he would like to see them relegated? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
I mean, he must be absolutely delighted today.
Yeah, I mean, that was the
playing
point.
In the Championship and playing great football.
Yeah, it was a style of play under Craig Levein he didn't like.
And he said second and miss out on promotion.
Do you know what, we need to get that guy back on, because that was a really interesting point that he made that night, Tony. He basically, we get the fans on at 5:30, between 5:30 and 7 o'clock, and he came on and said, look, he wasn't enjoying the football under Craig Levein. He said, look, if Craig Levein keeps you up like he had done previously, would you not just settle for that? And he said, no, I would rather take relegation and watch decent football. And Willie, I think you commented on that, Will. You couldn't quite understand that feeling from a fan, but perhaps perhaps with what he's saying there today, it does make him happy.
Yeah, but what you want is both, Kenny. You want to stay in the Premiership and you want to see attractive football. Now, it might be the case that St Johnstone have to go down, but their ambition will be to come back up again. And the question then is, will they be able to play the same style of football?
Yeah.
So I think you want both. I mean, it's maybe utopia you're asking for, but I think the most important part of the game, guys, is actually winning, isn't it? You take an
Johnson are getting goals, honestly. The fans will be loving it tonight.
Yeah, but Biscuits.
Listen, you take an ugly victory.
Yeah, of course you would. It's the mentality to win. But Biscuits will tell you that they would rather St Johnstone fans would rather go and watch a winning team. And I think season ticket sales are up. I was hearing this morning, and I was at the game against Wraith Rovers, and it was a great atmosphere. So there's a lot of fans that prefer to see their team winning, and if their team are not winning, they won't follow them.
Tony, the only thing I'm saying is you want to see them winning in the Premiership.
I totally agree with you.
That was my point. That was my point. Yeah, they'll be enjoying it just now, and obviously it's been a terrific game for them. Great, terrific start to the season, but they've got to have the ambition of being in the top league and playing the good football in the top league. We're all for quality football, but I think winning is important. That's the point I was trying to make back with that fan as well. I could understand
Kenny,
what he was saying. Yeah.
Is it not a hell of a gamble though that you want? Oh, there's a second goal, very similar. 2-0 Ross County, Gary Mackay-Stephen in-swinger, and who else but Akil Wright just knocking it into the empty net. It's Airdrie 0, Ross County 2.
Get the
two favourites for the league.
Yeah.
I was going back to the point. Is it not a hell of a gamble where you want your team to go down and just to win games, and they might not win games in that division? You stay down. You know teams who have gone down to Championship lower leagues, there's no recovery, and that's a gamble you have.
Falkirk 15 years out.
I was just about to say, Alan, I can guarantee you no Falkirk fan would have wanted that scenario, I tell you.
Stennismuir 1, Al Athletic 2. Curtis Roberts with the second goal there for the away side. That coming on 51 minutes. That a wee chance somewhere?
St Johnstone again. Yeah, again. It's Josh McPeak dancing down the left-hand side. Remember, he's already got a hat-trick in this game. They're leading 4-1. McPeak scored 3 of them. And just a little reverse. I thought he was going to curl it again. A little disguised reverse pass for Jason Holt, now the captain of St Johnstone, of course, who'd made a great forward run. And I thought he just squeezed it into the net, but it went just beyond the goalkeeper's right-hand post. It is still St Johnstone 4, Thistle 1.
Right, I don't know if this is unfair, Tony, but I'm going to read it out. It's come in on Twitter, okay? It's from a Stuart Ritchie. He said, could we have a trophy for the manager who picks up the most bookings in the season? We could call it the Tony Docherty Trophy. Has that been unfair? Did you get many yellow cards?
Not at all.
Stuart Kettlewell must have trumped him last year, surely.
No, and I think Barry Robinson's, he's a candidate.
Barry's the winner now. Barry's leading the way.
I wouldn't have put you up as a candidate, Tony.
I thought, I don't remember it, no.
Remember, you've got Alec Gray as well here. Alec Gray's
I
in
need
the
to check the listeners' stats there. I don't know where he's getting that from. I didn't get many yellow cards now.
Right. Kenny, you can't go through an afternoon without controversy, can you?
No, just listen.
I think you've been brilliant this afternoon. You've been calm.
I have.
All the questions have been sensible.
It's early doors, Wally.
That's what I'm saying.
Well, you know what it's like, first game of the season, everybody's excited. It'll just go wrong for there.
Negative Normans is a thing that we've all been called at one point or another by Mr. Steve Clark. Negative Normans, I think, on this programme. Here's a good one then. Here's a good one, right? Andy Jackson, Hearts fan. Ask your pundits, what would they rather lose from the top flight in Scottish football? Artificial surfaces or VAR?
Artificial surfaces.
Yeah, I would agree.
Yeah. Full house now, Tony?
Yes.
Right, okay, thanks for that question there.
That was controversial.
I thought it was an easy question. Difficult. Give us a more controversial question, listeners, please. Plenty of time to get
I just gave you one. Why does the Scottish Cup winners not get second? Who made it third?
Right, we're trying to get an answer on that for you, Alan. That's a very good question posed to you by someone tuned into the programme. There's after any points, any questions, get them to us. We'll put them to
would be some reward that Champions League qualification. Well, into the Champions League.
Alan,
you've seen it for winning the Scottish Cup.
But
can I come in, Alan?
Yes, Wally, on you come.
Because we don't have the European Cup winners' cup back again.
No, I told you they melted that for belt buckles. I've already told you that.
Brilliant.
Right, what's happening in your game, Willie Miller? Any closer to anything decent happening there at all?
Kenny, I can't crack jokes and watch a game at the same time.
Is there anything decent in the game?
Listen, it's competitive.
Yeah.
It's very even. I think 3 chances apiece. Yeah, 3 chances apiece. Nothing much in the second half, but the commitment is there. It's quite a physical game as well. It's not a slow-paced game. It's going end to end. So, I think the fans have got something to hang on to, but it needs quality. The ball has been in and around both goals at both ends, and just the quality of finish hasn't been good enough. So, plenty of effort, decent game, sun is shining. I think the fans are quite enjoying it. But as all fans want, they want some goals.
Very positive start for the away side. Airdrie against Ross County, Billy Dodds.
Yeah, I wouldn't say Ross County have been at their best, but they've been efficient. And as you know, the way Airdrie play, they keep control of the ball, long spells of possession. And then the first corner kick, obviously, County took the lead. The Henderson in-swinging corner, headed in by Akil Wright. And honestly, Ken, it was the exact same for the second. It's apart from different side, Gary Mackay-Stephen, front post corner, and Akil Wright just met it with the head again in the same position and knocked it lower into the net. So that's been the difference. Airdrie have competed well, but County have been clinical.
Right, Alan Preston, the home side fell behind to an early penalty, actually, wasn't it, at Starks Park? Anything at all from Barry Robinson's team?
Really disappointed in them. They've been really poor, Kenny. I expected more. I thought Queens would struggle because of the turnaround in players, but they've been the better side. They've defended really well. They've got that goal from the penalty spot. They look a threat when they attack. Rovers really lacklustre performance so far, and it probably goes to like last night as well. I expected more from Ayr United as well. I really did. And coming to here today, I thought, Rovers won 5-1 against them last game of the season. They'll come here, home game, first game of the season, they'll win this. But no, not the case. Have hardly created anything, to be honest.
Decent crowd into your game at McDermott Park. Chick, enjoying what's a classic so far?
It is, Kenny. I mean, St Johnstone just nearly scored again. They just come forward wave after wave of attack. Thistle can't get out their own half. They're playing possession football around about the boxes. Another shot just over the crossbar that time. They really are. It's Rhys McAleer with that just to be maybe 30 yards out, just over the crossbar. They are all over Thistle, and applause ringing round McDermott Park from the home support. And Thistle have no answer to this at the moment. 4-1 to St Johnstone as we stand.
Kenny, good effort there. Connor Young it was. Free kick outside the box, left-hand side. He's got his left foot on it. What is it you call it? Knuckle something that they do with it these days?
Knuckleball.
Knuckleball. Yeah, he's knuckleballed it, and it's a really good save. Was brought out. Unlucky not to see it nestle in the back of the net.
Right, Tony
Dockett. Call it in your day, Will?
What's that?
What did you call it in your day?
A bloater. A towboat. A towboat, yeah.
Willie loves all that false nine, breaking the line stuff. Willie loves all that. See, when I talk to him, he keeps telling me, honestly,
I'm right up to the minute with all that jargon.
I'm sick of listening about
Tony Dockett is trying to get my attention here in the studio. Tony.
Just confirmed I had 3 yellow cards last season.
What season? Wow.
Season.
Do you not remember them?
I actually don't know.
Was one of that night?
That's no bad, Doc.
That's all right for a
one
season.
surely was a Ross County game.
It
Surely
must have been.
The Ross County game.
Must have been.
They allow you 6 to do the not, and then you get suspended. Is it?
I think it is. I think it's that in this space.
Just sometimes look, Tony, when you see the list coming out of the referees, you think, oh no, this is shooting.
Can I say that?
Well, yeah, you must look at
another
this.
chance.
Check.
McPake again. Can he score his fourth? Oh, last guy's tackle gets away. Oh, this is they're running right here, Kenny. 4-1 at the moment, and McPake chasing his fourth goal.
You're not going to name names, but you must be sometimes you look at
He's going to get his controversy here. I can see it in his face.
Okay, well, let's go to Willie Miller. Willie Miller, did you must have seen less. You thought that referee's going to have it in for me.
See when I saw Tiny Wharton's name on the team sheet, and I knew it was going to be a difficult one. Yes, indeed. But we won't go into that.
No. Was that a wee chance somewhere there?
No, it was a bookend. Roddy McGregor, right. A horrendous challenge by him actually. The players McMillan's going through and he just pulls him back. It's not last man, yellow card, but the Rovers fans are not happy.
Livingston looking slightly better, Emma.
Yeah, there has been a change to the Livingston team. It was Carey, Coffin and Rudd came on, and he seems to be a bit more physical. He's putting himself about and they're trying to win the ball higher up. But yeah, Livingston have got a positive reaction from them.
Right,
the second half, there's a challenge on the right hand side.
Right, we've got problems in that line there, but Livingston try to fight their way back into the game. Davy Martindale on the screen in front of us here trying to get a reaction.
They're playing
from his
more direct style, Kenny, and putting Jack out there. Work with Jack myself, and they're kicking things in top him. They're getting in behind. Adam Montgomery's getting a chance to squeeze up a little bit and play more in the attack. And I think that's the way you need to play at Kilmarnock's pitch. I think you do need to be a wee bit more direct, and they're doing that at the moment, and as I said at half time there, the next goal is pivotal, and at the moment on the balance of play it looks like the likelihood it could be more Livingston than Kilmarnock.
Yeah, they're hoping to get back into that game. Inverness, Cally Thistle look nailed on for an opening 3 points. Kelty Hearts 0, Cally Thistle 3. David Witherspoon with that goal on 60 minutes there. So I'll run through the latest scorelines for you across the country. We're on to the television in about 7 or 8 minutes time. So in the top flight, Kilmarnock 2, Livingston 0. A reminder, 5:30 start at Fir Park. Full commentary to come. Motherwell at home to Rangers this evening in the Championship. 4 games this afternoon, all covered on Open All Mics. Airdrie 0, Ross County 2, Morton 0, Dunfermline 0, Raith Rovers 0, Queen's Park 1, St Johnstone 4, Partick Thistle 1 in League 1. Cove Rangers 0, Queen of the South 1, Hamilton Accies 1, Montrose 0, Kelty Hearts 0, Inverness Cally Thistle 3, Peterhead 3, East Fife 1, Stenhousemuir 1, Alloa Athletic 2, and in League 2, Annan Athletic 0, Elgin City 1, Dumbarton 2, Clyde 1, East Kilbride 1, Spartans 3, Edinburgh City 0, Stirling Albion 2, Forfar 1, Stranraer 0. Stranraer are down to 10 men. Alan, we've spoken a bit about the disappointing performance so far from Raith Rovers. I'm sure not too many Queen's Park fans will get into this season with much hope, but how have they performed this afternoon?
They've done very well. They've got that goal in 9 minutes, and then they've sort of defended well, good shape to them. There's not a lot of fans, as you can imagine. There may be about 100 fans through, 150 maybe at the most, but they can be pleased with their team this afternoon. They've done well. They've limited Rovers to very, very little, and as it sits, it's going to be a long way back for Raith Rovers and a really poor start.
What about Kenny? You'll hear a standing ovation here just in front of me from the St Johnstone fans, because Josh McPake, who scored a hat-trick, taking an injury, he wanted to play on. He got treatment. He went off the far side, indicated he could play on, but Simo Valakari said no. Off you come. Mackenzie Kirk has come on, and the hat-trick hero down there, as you can hear, taking applause from the Saints fans. Here's a corner kick. There's another chance for St Johnstone at the end. I think maybe Thistle have dealt with this. So they lead this one by 4 goals to 1 at the moment.
Yeah, thanks to Chick Young there. What a performance from Josh McPake in that game, and they are absolutely cruising. Simo Valakari said we'll try and hear from the manager after.
I know the line's bad, Emma, but Robbie Muirhead's wanting a penalty there for a pull back.
Right, should he get one?
For a penalty, Rory, I think.
I potentially. I just don't know whether Muirhead's guilty of pulling the defender beforehand, so that might determine it. I don't know if the ball's been out of play yet, but to see. But Livingston are looking decent here.
Right, we'll try that. Emma, you with us? No, we've had some technical issues there. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, can you hear me okay?
The keepers are a howler there. It seems to be a real barrage there from Livingston. They had plenty of chances in the past couple of minutes.
Yeah, they certainly have. Tate done fantastically well down the right hand side. He puts in the cross, and the goalkeeper goes to pick it up and just goes right through his legs up, and there was no one there just to pick up the second balls. But Livingston are still looking brightly. They're looking to get back in this game.
I think they're checking.
Right, touch on it.
Have we got a penalty check there, Emma?
Yeah, they're checking it just now.
I know it's close to where you were sitting, Emma, in terms of your view. What did it look like to you? Do you think it was a penalty?
I thought it was a penalty. Yeah, I thought it was here, yeah.
Right, we're going to get a replay in the studio here.
I think you can almost tell with the action with the players.
Yeah, that's a good point. We'll get so the referee's over at the monitor. We'll hopefully get a quick replay before he makes his decisions. The guys have just had one quick look at it here in the studio. Just quickly, Hamilton Accies 2, Montrose 0. Trialist with that goal on 62 minutes. So the referee's over. This can see where, guys, what are you doing? Right, here's a replay. It's not a great angle. Here we are.
It's some League Cup run, that trialist.
A pull.
Yeah, it's a pull from State. I think Stanger gets caught. The ball just checks actually if it's a ball in behind.
It's pulled it. For
me, it's a penalty.
Yeah. Initially, I thought Muirhead maybe had his hand round his shoulder, which he does, but I don't think it's enough, and I think that's a penalty kick.
Right, David Martindale's had a wee look. I think he's looking fairly optimistic that he's going to get the award of a penalty, and they'll be right back in this game here. The referee's taking a
red card. Is that a potential red card as well?
It could be, last man.
No attempt to. Well, I think it's in.
See, for me though,
there's no attempt to play the ball, which could play into the rules for a red card. So that'll be an interesting one, Alan.
Oh, so wait a minute. So you think maybe Muirhead? Because you suggested, Tony, maybe they've now spooled it back a bit. Anyway, here's the referee now.
We'll have a decision. The referee's stepped over and he should have.
Right, is that
off?
Why? Right. So apologies to the line. So it's a penalty. And a sending off.
The reason that even if Muirhead pulls him back, VAR can't get involved in a free kick. In terms of the red card, there's no genuine attempt to play the ball, which meets the criteria for a red card.
Yeah, you guys called it right away. Just looked, and as Emma said, you can tell by reactions on a park. So this is a massive opportunity now for Livingston. So we just saw pictures there of Stuart Kettlewell just reorganising his side. I don't know you guys, I like Robbie Muirhead. I think he's got a fair bit about him.
Aye, definitely. He's got a wonderful left foot. It's a pressure situation here where you need him to step up. He's got a great left foot. I just wonder whether he's going to lace it. If I was the keeper, I would be tempted to stand still, but it's always risky.
Right, we've lost the line to Emma, so here we are. A massive moment here for Livingston. Can they get themselves back into this game? Just a reminder that Killie are down to 10 men. Robbie Muirhead, he was terrific for Livy last season. He just steps back. He's on the edge of the box here now. It's going to be left-footed. Is he going to blast it? What a chance. Here we go. Robbie Muirhead, and he scores. He puts it down the middle, actually. The keeper dives, and the ball over the top of him, down the middle, and it's game on, Rory Loy at Rugby Park.
Yes, it is indeed. I don't think it was the laces. I think it was the side of the foot, but I had a feeling it might go down the middle. It's always a safe option in a pressure penalty, but listen, the keeper dives. They more often than do. If it goes in the back of the net, great, they're back in it, up against 10 men.
Game on here. It's game on here at Airdrie as well. Airdrie have just scored. I'll let you finish that goal, but it was Ewan Henderson sneaking in at the back post. That's an absolutely brilliant ball through. I'm sure it was Dean McMaster just threaded it through, gets in at the back post, rolls it into the far corner. Airdrie right back in it. Airdrie 1, Ross County 2.
Yeah, fantastic. Game on there and game on down at Rugby Park. We're just seeing a replay here now. I don't know what on earth is he thinking about there?
Gets caught wrong side and Muirhead's too strong and quick for him and he pulls him back. But as I said, if I was a keeper I would have stood, but it's very risky because if he goes in a corner and you stand still, it looks like you're not even trying to do your job. But
I think it's reward here for Davy Martindale's change at half time. You know, we did speak about it, Rory, at half time. I thought he might have just changed sides. I thought he might have changed the winger sides, put Carey in the right, but he's been brave. He's put Zach Rudden on there. They've taken the game to Kilmarnock. They've been very positive, very direct, and they've got the rewards. And now with 25 minutes left of the game, it's, you know, and with Kilmarnock reduced to 10 men, it'll be a really interesting. I see they're just bringing Rory McKenzie on now for his experience. That'll be an interesting end to this game.
Yes, very much game on down there. Just a warning, we're about to go on to television, on to BBC One Scotland, on there for an hour, but the action of course continues on the radio. That big game that will come from Fir Park, 5:30 kick-off with Motherwell at home to Rangers. We've lost the line, so we'll just get the guys in studio to give us the update on this game down at Rugby Park in the sunshine. So plenty to talk to here. Welcome to viewers who have joined us on BBC One Scotland for the opening weekend of the league season. As ever, no shortage of drama, plenty to get stuck into. Tony Docherty and Rory Loy are alongside me in the studio, guys, and we'll start with you two, Rory. We've just seen real drama down at Rugby Park this afternoon. It looked as if they were cruising the home side 2-0 up, but it's very much game on now.
Yes, it is indeed. They've just scored to make it 2-1. Kilmarnock started the game really, really well in terms of the first half. Daniels got off the mark before Watson doubled their lead. But in this second half, it's been a different story. Zach Rudden on, Carey off, and Livingston have looked at a different side. They won a penalty, which resulted in Stanger being sent off. So Kilmarnock down to 10 men. Robbie Muirhead converting the penalty. As it stands, Kilmarnock 2, Livingston 1.
And Tony Docherty, you just given a lot of praise to Davy Martindale. He had to find something to change the way this game was going, and he did it. His tweaks he made at half time, they're certainly providing big dividends now.
He did, and it's quite simple. He's just went more basic, he's went more direct, and he's played in forward areas. And I think particularly on the pitch at Rugby Park, that's the way to play it. You know, Kilmarnock had made a substitution, as I said earlier on, keeping a front two. They brought Bruce Anderson on for Daniels. They've now made another sub, and they're now going to have to try and see the game out, playing with one striker, Bruce up there in his own. And I think behind that, I think it's I'm not a full look, Rory, at the moment, but it's probably a 4-4-1 that they're looking at playing. But they're certainly looking to, you know, control that midfield area and stop the stem of flow that Livy have put on them.
Airdrie pulled a goal back. Airdrie 1, Ross County 2, and we brought you the goal. The Aran Athletic 1, Elgin City 1. Miles Gaffney with that equaliser on 69 minutes. 4 games in the Championship for you this afternoon. It opened, of course, last night. Full coverage on BBC Scotland. It finished Arbroath 1, Ayr United 1. Let's then get to the game at McDermott Park. What a game this has been. Chick Young is there for us. St Johnstone up against Partick Thistle.
Stroll in the sunshine for St Johnstone. They lead this one by 4-1. They've just had an oral blow. Actually, Jamie Cullen has had to come off to be replaced by a substitution. I'll confirm that in a second, just who's going on. But he took a little knock, but everything else has gone perfectly well for Saints this afternoon. 4 goals in the first half. This actually took the lead after 15 minutes. Paddy Redding, then Gullen made it 1 each, and then there was a hat-trick, 2 before half-time, 1 after the break for Josh McPake. He had to go off injured. He's been replaced and went off to a standing ovation. But a magnificent performance by St Johnstone. They are romping it, taking Partick Thistle apart. They lead by 4 goals to 1, Kenny, and we've played 70 minutes.
Fantastic start for the home side there. Not quite such an exciting encounter down at Capello this afternoon. Morton at home to Dunfermline there for us is Willie Miller.
No, it's not exciting in terms of goals flying in, Kenny, but it's a decent game. It's very competitive. It's probably the level that these two teams are at. They're strong, they're physical, they get the ball up the park early, they support it well, they're fit, they're energetic, and there has been chances created. Some good goalkeeping either side as well, either end as well, but just that lack of quality in and around the box. So after that first 20 minutes, I've got more of a smile on my face, I must say, even although it still is goalless.
Yeah, goalless there at Capello. It's very much game on, Billy Dodds, in the match you're watching today. Airdrie at home to Ross County.
It certainly is. It's still Airdrie 1, Ross County 2, but Airdrie on the attack, and you can see they've got their tails up after that goal from Ewan Henderson a few moments ago. Ross County looked an easy street. They had taken a 2-0 lead with an identical double from 2 corners, in swinging. Akil Wright met them both in the front area, popped them into the net to have them in easy street, but that goal from Ewan Henderson a few moments ago has certainly put a spanner in the works, and it's all to play for here at Airdrie.
Alan Preston as it starts part for us this afternoon. Alan, potentially a shock in the cards there.
Yeah, perfect away day so far for Queen's Park. They took the lead in 9 minutes. Roddy McGregor pulled down in the box. Referee points to the spot. Michael Ruth steps up, sent the keeper the wrong way. Rovers have been rotten, if I'm being honest, and Queens have been quality. So it's 1-0 to the away side.
Thank you to Alan Preston. Rory, we're having a chat earlier on about the title winners across all 4 leagues. St Johnstone very much putting a stamp on things this afternoon. They were one of the title favourites. They've been rampant according to Chick, and you'd fancy them to be very close come the end of the season. Yeah, I did think a couple of weeks ago they had a bit more business to do, which they went out and done, but everyone's spoken, and yourself, Kenny, has spoken about Simo Valakari and his way of playing and his style of playing, which would probably be more suited to the Championship, where they've got more domination of the ball, and that's proven to be the case today. Getting one of your players on a hat-trick, McPake, and Gullen adding to the scoreline as well. Fantastic news for Simo Valakari, and what a start, and they will, without a shadow of a doubt, be up there come the end of the season as Livingston get a free kick in a dangerous area here. Yeah, we'll keep you updated on that one. Tony, what do you like about the squad that Simo Valakari has put together? You saw them very recently.
Well, there's certainly more depth there. I even just look at the substitution there. Josh McPake comes off, and a really good young player in Mackenzie Kirk comes on to replace him. As I mentioned, the game I was at the other night, Stevie Mallon comes off. You get Sam Stanton sitting there, another. So there's good players there, and there's a good blend, I think, of young players and experience as well. And that's a statement win today from St Johnstone. So here we are, Rory, a chance for Livingston to draw themselves level down at Rugby Park. Just a free kick from just outside the box. Yeah, he's capable, Robbie Muirhead. He's done it before, and he'll do it again at some point. It's just whether he'll do it here. About 25-30 yards out, he's stepping up, probably slightly the wrong side. It's just left the centre of the goal, but he's just running up now. A little stuttered run up, he hits it. Ooh, for half a second I thought, but it's just went wide. Still 2-1. Yeah, so looking then at the title contenders, Billy Dodge, you're watching Ross County this afternoon. You were speaking earlier on, of course, Roy McGregor, the chairman, very well up there. You think he'll throw everything at it to try and get themselves back into the top flight?
I think he's already shown, Kenny, that he's going to do that with some of his signings. Declan Gallagher, Ross Docherty, the likes, and Gary Mackay-Stephen. But I also think if it's not going quite to plan midway through the season, I think he'll go at it again to try and get them back up and into the Premiership. He doesn't like messing about in the Championship too long. Here's one of those decisions you're talking about earlier in the programme for the boys, where he told them the fingers were up to point the 8-second rule down to 5, and now they have a corner kick, Airdrie, because Ross Laidlaw took far too long, and Airdrie have the corner. So pushing for this equaliser as we speak, Kenny.
Yeah, just to elaborate on that, we discussed it earlier in the programme, Rory. You were at the VAR briefing from Willie Collum this afternoon, so people who are not aware of this law change that has just been described by Billy Dodge, just give give us your interpretation of it.
Yeah, if a goalkeeper catches the ball and is in comfortable possession with the ball in his hands, an 8-second countdown will start in the referee's head, and when he gets to 5 seconds, he'll lift his hand, put his 5 fingers up, and then display a countdown from 5. If the goalkeeper still has the ball at the end of that, a corner will be given to the opposing team.
Seems a really good change, doesn't it, Tony? It's something that's going to get the game moving faster, and we all want that.
Yeah, I think so, and I think it's great, you know, and it encourages positive play as well. You know, it's rewarded with a corner kick, which allows you an opportunity at your opposition. So no, I think it's a good move for football, you know, certainly for attacking football.
We went round all our pundits earlier on, Tony, looking for predictions for the 4 league winners. It was a clean sweep for Celtic, certainly on Sports Sound this afternoon. You faced Brendan Rodgers' side many times last season. You also were up against Rangers, who many would expect to be their closest contenders. Why is it you think Celtic will be the side to beat once again, even though Brendan Rodgers yesterday was very strong, that he hasn't been back sufficiently, he feels, to strengthen the squad?
I just think continuity there. You know, they've got a really strong squad. Yes, they've lost a few players from that. As I said, I think before the end of the window you'll see a couple more coming in of quality, but I think they've got real momentum in that squad and a real understanding now of how the manager wants to play. And you know, I think for that, you know, Russell Martin's coming in, he's having to gel a new squad, he's having to, you know, get them round to his philosophy, the way he wants to play. Celtic already have that, you know, and it's now just bringing the players in to impact on that, and I think they'll do that, and I think for that reason, for me, they're still favourites.
2 each, equaliser. Ewan Henderson, what a free kick, and it all came from that decision
corner
where they were taking too long. Yeah, from it didn't come quite from the corner. They took the corner, they got a free kick edge of the box, and my word, Ewan Henderson has bent a beauty right into the top corner past Ross Laidlaw. It is now Airdrie 2, Ross County 2. What a finish.
Yeah, fantastic fight back from the home side there. We've spoken so much about Rhys McCabe. There were times last season no one ever suggested he was under pressure in terms of a job. I think he had plenty of credit in the bank, Rory. The style of football that they play, they seem to be back on track now, don't they?
Yeah, I remember speaking to, I played with Rhys when he was a youngster at Rangers, and I remember speaking to him in a pre-season game where they beat St Mirren a few seasons ago. It wasn't pre-season, it was a bit for the League Cup group, and he'd said it's a tough league, but that suits us because teams want to play against us. So right from the outset he had that vision of how they would play, and they had a tough year last year, don't get me wrong, and they got away with one a little bit with the Hamilton situation. So you know, it's a positive result to come back from 2-0 down. They'll have the momentum and fancy themselves to go and win that. But can I just say, on that rule change, the keeper will not do that again, and that's why it's in place, because he will not make that mistake again.
Yeah, Billy Dodds is
guys, you might not be surprised to hear this, hey Kenny, but Billy Davies has just been booked.
Yeah, so just for people tuning in on television this afternoon, Will, you brought this to us at the top of the programme. There's no big story here, but Billy Davies is in the dugout this afternoon for the home side.
He is, yeah. It's personal reasons why Dougie Emery isn't here today, so don't read anything else into it. And Billy's obviously getting involved in the touchline, and it was a brave official down in the byline actually indicating to Billy to shut his mouth. I thought to myself, good luck with that one. And he got a yellow card.
Stevie May just on the pitch, huge chance, cut back from Montgomery, who's had a tough afternoon, but he's come into the game in the last 5-10 minutes and he's cut one back to Stevie May, and Stevie May's shot, and he'll be disappointed. Maybe if he'd been on the pitch 5-10 minutes longer, it might have been a different outcome, but Livingston really turning the screw here. Still 2-1 Kilmarnock.
Yeah, they're absolutely going for it down there at Rugby Park. Let's get back to Billy Dodds. He's at Airdrie for us this afternoon. Of course, Billy spent the end of last season in at Rangers, but you yourself agree that Celtic are certainly title favourites this season. Just talk to me about how difficult it is. There's so much change required in that squad at Rangers, and that takes time for it all to gel, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does, and I heard Tony talking about you need time. Sadly, you don't get it at clubs like Rangers, and if you're not winning games constantly and consistently, week in, week out, you're going to find yourself behind Celtic, because they have that continuity, as the boys were saying, where they'll put a string of results together. You've got to try and match that, and if not, you're under pressure. And they've got nearly a whole new team. I think it's 8 arrivals and a few more to come probably, so that's all got to be gelled together. I'm not saying it's impossible.
Surely it's a penalty, is it? Yeah, penalty to Wraith Rovers.
Right, it's back to Starks Park, Alan Preston.
Yeah, it's across to the back post. It's headed back and it's struck the hand of one of the players. I think it's I think it's Charlie Fox. It's hit. He's been yellow carded, having a go at the referee. It was just a ball to the back post, headed back across. It must have hit Fox on the hand. The referee immediately points to the spot, giving Queen's Park a penalty in the first half. Chance now, and it looks like Dylan Easton, once everyone's cleared out the box. This might take a little bit of time because the referee's trying to clear it. Already booked, as I said, Charlie Fox for his demonstrations against the referee. It's not been great from Rovers. They've had a bit more pressure, but it's not as if Callum Ferry in the goal for Queens has had save after save after save to make. But with 11 minutes to go, there's a chance here for Dylan Easton to equalise. He'll come and take this right-footed. The referee is, again, people are encroaching in the box. He's trying to keep them out. This is an important one, even this early on in the season. You don't want to lose your first game of the season.
Yeah, particularly at home against a side that are expected to struggle.
Exactly. So referee still trying to clear the box, telling them all, stay out the box. It'll be Dylan Easton here. He'll come and take it. Right-footed at one point. Steps up now. Go! 1-1.
Game on at Starks Park. Willie Miller's having a wee chuckle to himself there in the background. Is it more antics in the dugout?
It was nothing to do with Alan's commentary of that penalty, Alan. So if I put you off, Neil Lennon's been shown the yellow card now. He just couldn't keep it in, could he? You know, he just had to equalise things in the dugout. So, and he turned round to the fans and gave him a thumbs up. So.
Yeah, you got a feel for the refereeing team down there with Billy Davis and Neil Lennon to contend with all afternoon. Willie, we were talking earlier on about Brendan Rodgers, a strong message from him to the board yesterday. You'll have seen this many times in the past. You're using the media to get the message out. The thing about Brendan Rodgers is he's in a position of such power now at Celtic, isn't he?
Well, he is, yeah. I mean, the job that he's done has been superb, but he deserves to be supported. But Celtic have got...
Go on!
Celtic...
Oh, yes! That brings back the memories. Stevie Mallon for the Saints, this time at St Johnstone. Free kick outside the box. I thought, go on, Sunshine, do it again. What a free kick. Curled it around the wall, over the top, in at the goalkeeper's top right-hand corner. Stevie Mallon still has the magic. St Johnstone 5, Partick Thistle 1.
Check, this is such a statement win this afternoon. Just tell us how impressive the home side have been.
Magnificent. I'm glad I tipped them for the league before it. I'm even more sure now they have not just won, not just rattled in the goals. The football has been entertaining. Big crowd inside McDermott Park. And so, as we've discussed, strength and depth to this squad, the alternatives they have. Tony touched on it, I have to say. Mackenzie Kirk has come on. He looks like a player. He's got a wonderful touch in the ball as well. Now the substitutions have been made all over the place for St Johnstone. All around the ground, the fans are on their feet saluting this. I'm telling you, what a performance. A hat-trick from McPake. He went off injured. One from Gullen. But Stevie Mallon, once a hero of mine, has still got the magic. A hero of mine? He's only 29. Fantastic. Absolutely fantastic.
Rory, you were chatting about him earlier on. He's a player that you know him for. Saints have that quality to come off the bench. It just shows what he's got to work with there, Stephen Valakari.
Yeah, his dead balls are a speciality of his game, a real high point of his game. He can whip the ball into the top bin, no problem at all. As David Watson tries the same at Rugby Park, didn't quite work out. Yeah, he's a good player. He dictates the game. He can, long raking diagonals he's good at, short passes as well. So he'll be hoping that this is a move that will kind of lift his career off, because he kind of floated about from club to club, picked up injuries and never really had a good run at it. So this gives him a platform now to go and have a right go at playing most of the season. He's
been out 18 months with a foot injury, had a foot operation in the summer there, Kenny. And it's really difficult over in Turkey and down in Salford, and wasn't as great as everyone thinks playing for Salford. Their training facilities were not great, so he hurt his foot, and then that's him back, thankfully.
Cove Rangers nil, Queen of the South 2. Kennedy with that goal on 81 minutes. Alan, we've been chatting all day about the league and who we think's going to win it and who will be struggling, and that battle for third spot is always such a really interesting debate. And you were speaking about Derek McInnes. You wanted to see him at your club a long time ago. You've been at a fans event recently and you said he was very, very impressive there.
He is, yeah, and I've known Derek a long time, and his work with Tony was excellent at the clubs he's been at. And now he's at Hearts, and it's just, I think Hearts have now got a proper manager. There's no slight on Neil Critchley, but I just didn't think he held the room well. I didn't think that he could have a go at the players when need be. He's a real manager. This is a good effort there for Paul Hanlon for Raith Rovers. No, I just think it's a really good fit, and I tell people this, and folks say, when Derek left Aberdeen, and Tony will know, I played golf with him in Edinburgh, and all he spoke about was Hearts. What about the size of that club? Something's not right with Hearts, and Aberdeen have done a great job there, and we're in Europe, but they're still getting bigger crowds in Aberdeen. What a club it is. How Vano had an interview, and literally all the way around asking about the club. And as soon as he got the job, I'm not saying this is a slight against Kilmarnock, but Derek looked really excited about getting the Hearts job. And speaking to him, I know he is, and the recruitment's in. It's going to take a bit of time with the Jamestown analytics, because they're not always going to strike gold with them all. But I think given time and given what they've got there, it's exciting times for Hearts.
You'll have spoken to him, Tony. Of course, you worked with him for so many years. How's he enjoying it so far? How much is he relishing the challenge? How far does he think he can take Hearts?
Yeah, listen, he's loving it, but you know Derek, he won't talk things up. He'll just work away, and the quality of Derek is, it's the quality of work he does every day, him and his staff, and you know, they've got a buy-in right away from the players, and as Alan said there, knowing Derek, he has, you know, that move he's earned, you know, he's absolutely earned for the work he did, not just at Aberdeen but at Kilmarnock as well, and prior to that, and now he's at a club where he really knows he can achieve things. He's got the players to do that, and I've got no doubt, you know, with the backing that he's going to get as well. He's enthused.
Right, we've got a problem in the line there with Emma. It's breaking up, but that's an equaliser. Rory, we've just had a quick view of that in the studio here. Livingston back in level terms.
Smith, the substitute, does really, really well down the right-hand side. Goes by his full-back like he's not even there. He cuts it back. Pittman does what Pittman does. He arrives late into the box. Kilmarnock 2, Livingston 2.
Yeah, we're getting a replay here, and I have to say, a decent away support down there at Rugby Park. We're getting a view here, Tony. It's a great finish, isn't it?
It's been coming the second half, and again, Davy Martindale, he's getting rewarded for that, for the change that he made, and it's been all Livingston. You know, they changed Kilmarnock. They brought on Rory McKenzie, tried to compact the middle of the pitch and have one striker up top, but really it's been Livingston. It's been, you know, all Livingston in the second half, and that's a reward for their playing. And you know, with 5 minutes left, I think they'll be pushing now for a winner.
Yeah, they'll fancy it now, Rory, won't they? They'll really
Emma
push
said
on.
There's maybe a check there. I might have missed that, but
right,
it sounded like that.
Just apologies to people tuning in. We had some technical issues this afternoon. Yes, check.
Yeah, while all that was going on there, it was just a fantastic strike from young Mackenzie Kirk. He just very casually volleyed it with the outside of the boot. It was getting into the corner, and I have to say, Budenaukas in the Thistle goal produced an awesome save, got across. I thought he had no chance, got a finger on it, got it round the post. Wonderful bit of play, wonderful goalkeeping, and actually this has been a wonderful football match. 87 minutes gone. St Johnstone 5, Partick Thistle 1.
And in 2, Elgin City 1. The home side looked to get the winner there in 89 minutes. So we've got a goal checked.
Yeah, I think it's because they feel that one of the Livingston players is possibly restricting the view of the goalkeeper, Stryjek.
I think
Tony knows all about that.
Yeah, I think Zach Rudden, or maybe Zach Rudden, was in front in an offside position, but he certainly wasn't in the goalkeeper's view.
Goal's been given, Tony.
Goal's been given.
Goal given, yeah, and they'll fancy this now. And for Stuart Kettrell in every 5 or 6 minutes after cruising in the game.
Absolutely. I mean, the turning point, he just brought Dominic Thompson on, and he didn't look up to speed because he's got pace. But Smith absolutely burned him down that right hand side. He really did, and a really good finish by an experienced player in Pittman.
Yeah, Pittman's a decent player, you have to say that. So very much game on. Just a reminder, we're on television till around about 5:25. The action continues on the radio. Full coverage to come. What a game it should be at Fir Park this evening. Motherwell at home to Rangers. Let's just continue our bounce around the grounds. Let's get to that game where tempers were maybe flaring a wee bit on the touchline down that dugout area. Willie Miller is there for us. Morton against Dunfermline. Dunfermline have thrown a fair bit of money at it. Have they been disappointing this afternoon, Willie?
No, I don't think so. They've been a better team, I think, throughout. Certainly even in the first half. Second half they've dominated, and they've had the two chances. I mean, Morton has been very rarely up the park in the second half, so it has been a game, second 45, where the visitors have been totally in charge, and they've had a couple of great efforts. Connor Young with a free kick, it was well saved by Storer in goals, and then Josh Cooper having a toe poke inside the box. It wasn't actual toe poke this time, it just fell to him around about the penalty spot. Another good save as well. So as we get towards the dying embers of this game, Morton are up the park. They've got a chance. They haven't been up the park much in the second half. Unfortunately, it's still 0-0, but there's been quite a bit of action after that first 20 minutes. It was rather subdued.
Let's get to the game between Airdrie and Ross County. Billy Dodds is here for us, deep into the closing stages here. Billy, any sign of a winner?
Well, it's really opened up, as you can imagine, with that equalising goal, that both teams now feel they can win it. I think it'd be a really good point for Airdrie. Ross County realise now it'd be a disappointing start to the season, going out the League Cup and drawn today, that they're really having a go here and try to force a winner. But Airdrie so far, Kenny, standing firm.
Also, Alan Preston, very much game on at Starts Park.
It is, yeah, we've got a minute to go. It's 1-1 here. Rover penalty each. Queen's in the first half after 9 minutes, and Raith Rovers are the equaliser with 10 minutes to go. We're almost into added on time here. I think it'll be a drop couple of points for Rovers, because I expected them to win this, but if Queens can see this through, it'll be a decent point from them. But 1-1 with about 3-4 minutes to go if added on time.
Elgin City have equalised late on away Annan Athletic, and the League One title favourites Inverness, Cardiff Thistle 3-0 victors away at Kelty Hearts this afternoon. That's you up to date with the latest scores. Let's get back to that game at McDermott Park. Chick Young's been raving about it all afternoon. Sima Valakari, we know the style of football he likes to play, Chick. He's put together a very, very strong squad, and so far it's been excellent this afternoon.
Well, you can say what you want, and the bookie can say what they want about the championship favourites, but for me, if St Johnstone produce this week after week, they will win this promotion place, because they've been absolutely terrific. Just to be reminded, they lead by 5-1, and McPake hat-trick after incidentally Paddy Redding had put Thistle ahead unbelievably, it seems, when you look back. Gullen got one, and then there was that wonderful free kick from Stevie Mallon to wrap it all up. Classic vintage Stevie Mallon, a free kick curling it over and around the wall actually, and in at the goalkeeper's top right hand corner, and they have just dominated it. They've nearly scored twice in the wake of that. I have to say that Mackenzie Kirk has come on. He looks like a talent, and some of the football that St Johnstone are currently playing in front of me here, it's just terrific. The movement of the ball on a perfect surface, a joy to watch. Come and watch St Johnstone, you will not be disappointed. 5-1 at the moment.
Chick, I'd imagine, as ever, a fairly decent travelling Thistle support there. What will they have made of the afternoon? Have they just been outclassed by a very good side?
They'll be a bit Stirling by now, I think. A vast majority of them have left. They came up numbers, I have to say, yeah. And there's obviously still a few Thistle fans hanging about there, but a lot of them went down the road maybe after the fourth goal. They knew their team were torn apart. A great League Cup campaign, of course, hopes were high, but they looked to me like a team with problems. There was a substitution a while back, of Tony Watt, and I hadn't realised he was on the park. He's contributed not very much this afternoon, I have to say, and it's been a very powerful and convincing win. We're 3 minutes into time added on at the moment. I would imagine there would have been about 3, so the dying embers of this game, very much so. But what a triumph for St Johnstone. They have been magnificent.
Full time at Capello, 0-0.
Thanks to Willie, that was short and sweet there, not too much to talk about. Well, he's actually said it's been a decent game. Most of the action taking place down in the technical areas.
That's full time now, Kenny. St Johnstone 5, Partick Thistle 1.
Thanks to Chick. So Morton 0, Dunfermline 0. In League 2, one of the title favourites, East Kilbride, losing at home in the opening day by 3-1 to Spartans. Peterhead have just scored again, 4-1 at home to East Fife. We've got our eyes here, Rory Lloyd, in the game down at Rugby Park. It looks as if Livy are throwing everything at it, going for the winner.
Oh my days, I mean, unbelievably at half time to say that Livingston will be disappointed they haven't won this game is quite incredible, because Kilmarnock, as much as Livingston were okay in the first half, were the better side. They scored 2 goals, and they're doing everything they can, Livingston, to try and win this game. But it's a bit of a familiar story to last season. Kilmarnock seemed to drop so many points with getting men sent off So it's a bit of a repeated story from the start of this season.
Full time at Kirkcaldy, 1-1 between Raith Rovers and Queen's Park.
Thanks, Alan Preston. We'll get more details from the guys. We'll go around the grounds, get some full-time reports. We'll also get the team news and hear from both managers ahead of that top flight game that kicks off at Fir Park at 5:30. We're on the telly around about 25 past, but the action continues on BBC Radio Scotland. That should be a great game there at Fir Park this evening. Most of the guys seem to think that Rangers will struggle to stay on course with Celtic this season. As for Motherwell, we'll discuss them a bit later, and we'll get the guys' thoughts on who they think will struggle in the top flight this campaign. Certainly earlier in the programme there were a couple of suggestions of Tony's former club Dundee. They of course were disappointing in their League Cup campaign. Tony, we'll just stay with this game down here. We've got it coming into the studio. The game at Rugby Park. It's incredible pressure now from Livy, isn't it? They're totally dominating.
It is, and we said at half time, you know, Kilmarnock almost went in 3-0 up, you know, and coming out, Livingston have taken the game to Kilmarnock. I think, you know, at that stage you would have taken a point, you know, if you're Davy Martindale. But again, as I've said, I think he's been rewarded by his tactic to go more positive, more direct, and they're now in a position now they'll be really disappointed to draw the game. Of course, the sending offs impinged on that, but I do think even before that, it was, I said it in the commentary, I think they looked like a team, Livingston looked like a team that were going to get the next goal. They have done, and they've motored on, and they really should be winning this game. And I think Stuart Kettlewell will just be desperate to get that final whistle now.
So what do you do as a manager? So the players made a really rash decision. He's pulled the shot. So what happens there if you are the manager and your player comes in and it's a game-changing moment? I mean, do you fine a player? Do you have a word with him in front of the group? How do you deal with that as a manager?
I think Stanger being a young player, and I think I've said this before, you know, he's made a mistake there. You know, he's got done in behind with a ball in behind him, and you know, it's not his intention to do that. I think his positioning was wrong for the ball going in behind. I think you need to then show him the mistake that he's made, go through him because he's a young player, and hope that he learns from that, because you know he's not deliberately done that. So I wouldn't berate him, you know, in front of the players. I would make sure, of course, you know, it's been a huge factor in the game going the way it's went, but I think as a young player and just a new signing, you know, you've got him for a season, you need to improve him, you need to develop him as a player, and I think it's important that he gets that message.
Yeah, just waiting on the full-time whistle to go down there at Rugby Park. Billy Dodds, are you still playing Airdrie against Ross County?
We are. There have been a couple of close shaves, one for both teams. Rona Hill just put a free kick just inches over the crossbar, and then McStravick with a real McGrattan, with a real chance at the end, drives in from the left, hits a shot right across the face of the goal. There was numbers in there, nobody could get it over the line, and that's it. Kenny, an eventful second half. It's finished Airdrie 2, Ross County 2. Some comeback.
Yeah, very good comeback there, and a terrific comeback. We're just seeing the final score, the final pictures coming through there from the game down at Rugby Park. Rory Lloyd, the manager there, Davy Martindale, delighted, congratulating his players as they come off the park. And it sounds ridiculous, as you were saying, perhaps a bit of regret that they didn't get the 3 points in that game.
Yeah, quite astounding really, because in the first half there wasn't much in the game. Kilmarnock took their 2 chances and you felt like Kilmarnock were going to go on and just kind of see the game out, but Livingston were fantastic in the second half. They really were. Zach Rudden came on and replaced Graham Carey, and they changed their system slightly. Rudden went closer to the defence of Kilmarnock, and they struggled. They got the ball in behind, they turned them round, and they took their chances when they came along, and it could have very easily been 3-2 to Livingston had they taken one or more of their chances. As Stuart Kettlewell will be majorly disappointed. I wonder if Davy Martindale will maybe say after the game he maybe got it wrong in the first half, because in the second half they were dominant, to say the least.
We'll try and bring you some managerial reaction from that game. We're on the telly until 25 past 5, so we'll try and get that for you on Sports Sound. Just again watching Davy Martindale, the pictures coming into the studio here, absolutely delighted with the performance of his players this afternoon, and quite rightly so. They were up against it, but they got themselves back into that game, 2 apiece it finished, and they had many chances to actually win that game down there at Rugby Park. So we'll bring that